Hey everyone, I'm your host Antwan, the AP Superb, and today you guys, we have an amazing episode for you because I'm joined by the lovely, the lively, the legendary Miss Tichina Arnold. And first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and kick it with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Antwan. Thanks for being with me again.
I know, right? This is our second go around. I appreciate it. How you feeling today?
I feel good. I'm a little tired.
Okay.
But, no complaints. I feel good. God is good. Life is good. Things are good. And my phone is being silent.
Oh, listen, we gonna get through it.
This is the problem. This is what makes you tired, is this damn phone.
But it's technology, though. You know,
Yeah.
you can't. It's like we can't live without it. We gotta have it.
I'm going to try to live without technology. I'm going to go away and I'm going to go to a cabin and literally not have my phone, not have, just, disconnect.
You really think you can do that, though?
I've done it once before.
Okay. So you're going to challenges. I like it.
You have to have challenges in
Absolutely.
life. Otherwise,
What,
life is boring.
That part. How is your mental health, if you don't mind me asking?
My mental health is great.
Okay, because it's important for us to, with so much happening in the world, it's important to, just check in on people.
For sure.
See how people are doing.
sure.
Check on your strong friends, I tell people. Because the people that you believe are the strongest are sometimes suffering the worst in silence.
Give me a pound for that.
Yeah, I always tell
Very
people,
nice.
we just got to check in on everybody. But, just pay attention because everybody needs somebody.
Most
That's my
definitely.
motto.
Most
So
definitely.
just-
You can't do it alone.
Yeah, no matter how blessed or successful you are, we're all still human. We
Yeah.
don't have feelings. So
sure.
you just got to check in on people.
For certain.
Yeah, so Tichina, today we got a lot to talk about today.
There's always a lot to talk about.
We got a lot to dive into today. You have a career that has spanned over 4 decades. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, you're the 47 years I've been in.
Okay,
this.
so when I look at you, I look at someone who's very seasoned, very cultured, and you're a veteran. And you got to take that. You got to take it.
Listen, I got my scars and scrapes, man. I've been
Listen,
scrapping for a minute.
and you wear them proudly, which is what I love about you.
Thank you.
But I want to talk to you. I want to go very in depth. I want to dive in and unpack, just a lot about, how you started up until where you are today, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Okay, so, we about to get into it. I want to talk to you first about, growing up in New York, the early years of your career. What was life like for you?
Oh, God. Life was, I've had a good life.
Okay.
I've had a really good life. Pretty much insulated life in the sense where I, at the age of 3, I started singing in church. So, my mom, I was raised in a 2-parent household up until like age 12.
Okay.
And then my parents, split. But up until then, we went to church 3 times a week. I was in the Church of God in Christ, which is called Kojic. And so it's a very staunch Christian background, which actually has helped me to this day, even though I am not actively in Kojic anymore. But it has sustained me. And it has protected me, and it has taught me a grounding and a leveling of how to live my life to this day. So I will always appreciate Christianity for that, because in that case in my life it worked, and it's still working.
Right.
At age 11, by the time I was age 11, I was just wanted to be on stage. So my first job was at the Billie Holiday Theater in Brooklyn, doing the Me Nobody Knows. And then after that, I went on to work with Elizabeth Swados, who is a woman who did, a show called Runaway. So I did a lot of off-Broadway regional theater. So I was always on stage from age 11 until like 17, 18. I was on stage.
I didn't know that. Okay.
All the time.
So now you educated me. I appreciate that.
You know, I was in theater. Oh, you got to do theater.
I feel like, because I know, and we're going to dive into that later in the interview, I know you've done soap operas, and I was always told that theater prepares you to do a soap opera.
For everything. Theater prepares you for everything.
Okay, I'm going to remember that.
Theater prepares you for life. What did I just tell you earlier? I was like, pretend like you're in front of a live audience.
A live audience. She did, y'all. She
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, you dropping the jewels on me. I have to ask you, growing up, so you grew up in Queens, New York, correct?
Yes, Jamaica, Queens, New York.
What was life like growing up in New York?
I love New York. New York is not the same. I gotta admit, it's not the same. Culturally, it's still very diverse, but New York, when I was growing up in New York, it was dirty, it was gritty, but it was just amazing. And I digested so many wonderful things living in New York. Literally, I have walked from the east side to the west side, from the north to the south, going on auditions. I couldn't afford taxi cab.
It's a bit pricey.
So I would have an audition, on one side of town, then another audition within a half hour on another side of town.
So you were just booking it,
booking it all day, every day. So New York for me just is great memories of just amazing people, amazing food.
The food is top tier.
The party, $1,000 a party. I love, I'm a house head, so I love house music. So it's just like New York really developed me as an artist.
Okay.
It developed me as an artist. It developed me as a human being, actually, as well. Because, I found a lot of, in ways of interacting with people culturally from all over the world. It allowed me to really learn life a lot faster than I would have had I been raised anywhere else.
Right. One thing I love about New York City is, y'all hustle.
Oh,
and
always.
Y'all hustle in the sense of if you want it, you're gonna go get it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna allow anybody to tell you what you can and what you can't do. And I respect it because my time in New York, when I've been to New York, I just go and I look at people and I say wow, they're about their business. Don't play with nobody in their business. So,
I have a joke with my friends here. It's like when I came to California in 1990, I literally had friends. We would hang out, we would stay up, because a lot of my friends were from New York, but then I had a lot of friends that I met here that were from LA, and then you had a lot of people that were here from other places trying to be in show business. So in New York, I would hang out, and by 2 o'clock in the morning, people were like, what? I gotta go to work. But in California, nobody did that. I was like, you're around all these people, and they're like, just hanging out. I'm like, nobody has to be to work in the morning.
Because in New York, y'all can't party until you party, but you go to work. Y'all can run it until 5, 6 in the morning. I'm guilty of it. I've done it. But New York is the place that never sleeps.
No.
It's full of life. And as you just said, I love it. It's amazing.
It's a fun town. It's not as fun as it used to be, unfortunately. Sorry.
Well, you never know. I mean,
but from as far as
it's just changed.
And I'm older now. I'm probably old farting compared to.
No, well, you can't. You're very seasoned, as I said earlier. You're very seasoned.
That's a nice way of putting it.
She's very seasoned, guys. Let's leave it there. So you growing up in a 2-parent household. Correct me if I'm wrong. I understand that your mom was a sanitation worker.
Yeah, well, she worked for the Department of Sanitation.
Okay, Department of Sanitation.
So what my mom did because New York, we get all seasons, very severe weather, and she would call out the dump trucks, the garbage trucks, and the salt trucks.
Ooh, okay.
So, if it snowed on, in the section of Queens, she was in control of, I can't remember but it's a big area of Queens. She would be the woman on the dispatch, sending out all the snow trucks, the garbage trucks. She'd be the go-between.
Okay, so we got to say shout out to your mom because I feel like the people that are behind the scenes who we don't see are, they still need to be, they need their flowers as well because they're making it happen.
Most definitely.
What was it like? Growing up in a 2-parent household, what was the dynamic like, between your parents, just growing up
they were both, my mom and my dad had a very interesting relationship. When my mom got married to my dad, he was the only man she knew. That he was her first, everything. So,
okay.
Like I said, insulated, in church, things are kind of arranged. And so I would say closely their marriage was a bit arranged because, you're in church and you're around the same people, same families. Everybody knows where who's from and things, when they're young, they're like, okay, you're going to be with him when you get older. So it's kind of arranged, which I think is part of the reason why I didn't, last. I think a man and a woman should always choose each other instead of, that was during the era as well when they split apart, that's when women started getting a little more independent.
Okay.
And the whole, I am a woman and I'm strong and I am independent. And my mom got a job.
Okay.
Because my mom didn't have to work. I was a part of that type of two-parent household where the man made the bread and the woman took care of the home. So I was allowed to see that, experience that, but I was also allowed to experience the difference when that changed and when my mom got a job. And that's kind of where it just kind of, it split them up a little bit.
Do you feel like for you, seeing your mom work and seeing her independence, you learned? Like
A lot.
Okay, yeah. Because, I'm sure you did.
A lot, because when my dad wasn't in the home anymore, all I saw was my mom, and you're around your mom, like most of us are around our mothers, because that is the person who nurtures you. My dad, I think if I were a boy, it would have been way different, but I wasn't. And I think my dad kind of wanted a boy, but, his first being a girl, it's like, okay. So he didn't really, he handled me a little more gingerly than he would have had I been a boy.
Okay.
But it allowed for him to actually be out of the house a little easier because he had two little girls.
Right.
So he kind of left it up to my mom, like, okay. So he literally would leave money in a box. We had like a box.
Oh, okay.
Where he would leave money in the box, and he gave my sister the key because she was the more responsible one.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
That is interesting. So your dad was a New York City police officer, right?
Yes, he was a housing cop.
Housing cop, okay.
Fort Greene projects.
Okay, what was that like to see your dad, be have a job?
Very interesting. I've been around guns and knives and swords all my life. He was very into artillery, but it allowed me to see his vulnerability as well, because I remember he came home one time and I heard him crying. So I came downstairs and he was just crying. I was like, Daddy, are you okay? And he says, no, baby, I'm not. I'm like, well, what happened? And I think he got called to, he didn't tell me this till later. He got called into a situation. They had raped this 9-year-old little girl, sodomized, just did horrible things, killed her, and then threw her off a roof. So she was so happened to be the same age as I was. And he said, baby, when I got there and saw her body, all I saw was you. And I think from that moment on, he was never the same.
He was never the same.
Yeah, so he ended up leaving the force.
Okay, so would you say during his time as a cop, was he more, because of that, did he become more of a strict father?
Well, he's strict. He was very strict. My dad passed a few years ago, but yeah,
I'm sorry to hear
he
that,
was strict. Oh, thank you. He lived a full life. He lived to 80. I thought he would live longer, but
That's a long time, though,
Yeah.
Because and I say that with so much respect because a lot of people aren't making it these days past 25. You're blessed if you see 30, as they say.
Yeah.
So
we're up against a lot of odds, though.
Yeah.
You got to eat right. You got to live right.
Okay, so your dad being a cop, he was very protective, I'm assuming, over you and your sisters.
No, he didn't play. He didn't play when it came to his babies.
Even when it came to dating, because I'm sure, like.
My mom was a little more on top of that. I would just make her not tell him.
Really?
Like, don't you say anything to Daddy.
And she went along with it?
Sometimes she would, but I think she told on me a few times.
And she just told him, just don't tell them.
Just to watch.
Just watch.
Yeah. And I remember a while ago, I've been blessed enough to see, so many errors and so many things go from one extreme to the next.
Okay, so your dad, was he was protective over you and your sister?
Very protective over our household. My dad was, especially he was a lot more protective when he left the home.
Really?
When him and my mom split up, because he's no longer there to put eyes on us.
So he didn't see the day-by-day things that were happening.
Yeah, okay. But I remember him. I remember being there during when the crack era happened, and we had, when I say an insulated life, like we knew everybody on our block. So being in Queens, like in New York, especially in Queens, everything is like by the block, like who's on your street, basically. So my block consisted of everybody that we knew. You know all your neighbors. Everybody looks out for each other. But then when the crack era happened, epidemic happened. We started seeing people we didn't know. You started seeing, young men on the corners hanging out, and it wasn't, Mr. Matthew's son, or it wasn't this person's daughter. It was other people that we couldn't recognize. So that's when they started selling drugs. And I remember we had this store called Freddy's, and we would go to the corner. We just go, our corner store. We would go to the store, and my sister went to the store and came back crying. She was like, "Somebody touched my butt." It was like, what? Like who? Like who?
How old was she at the time?
My sister was only like, I think she was like 10 or something like that.
Okay, so that was 11. Inappropriate.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
And
it's a form of sexual.
Yeah.
Harassment. Yeah.
My dad wasn't there, so I think he was at work. And then my mom called my dad, and my dad came. And I knew he was gonna have his gun. I know he was gonna be calm, but he handled it.
He handled it.
But that was the first time that I experienced a change in our block. A change in our lifestyle, a change in our in our comfortability.
Did you all feel unsafe because of what was transpiring on the block?
That was very unsafe to us.
Okay.
To be touched by a person you don't know who's been standing on the corner day in, day out doing, selling drugs.
The fact that not only, he did touch your sister inappropriately, but then now you have people coming into the neighborhood selling drugs. I'm pretty sure you start looking at your neighborhood like, it's going
changing.
Downhill, it's changing, and what is it going to become?
Right.
I'm sure those questions arose.
Yes.
At this point, your dad is a cop. Is he still in the home at this point?
No.
He's
home.
out of the home.
Yeah.
Okay, so then him not being in the home at this point, how did your mom feel about these things happening?
We felt unprotected. I mean, when a man is not there physically all the time, you do feel some kind of way. And my mom is she's not built the same way I kind of ended up being built. I'm more of the artillery guy person. I'm not afraid of guns. Like, my mom has never been into it, but, I've taken gun lessons and stuff like that because I respect, guns, being around my dad all those years. And then, of course, when I moved out on my own, I was making sure that I had, knowledge of how to use a gun and stuff. But, yeah, when they split, you do feel unprotected. Now it's just... a mom and her two girls, and they're doing what they got to do.
Yeah,
and my mom did what she had to do.
She did, and I can't even imagine like what that was like, especially living in New York.
Well, see, because we lived in a great area of Queens. It was pretty safe. We didn't have much to worry about. But then the crack epidemic happened, and things changed, and we saw that change, and we felt that change.
Wow. So, was he a cop during 9/11 or?
No, he was retired by then. Yeah,
okay,
he was retired by then.
Okay.
Because my dad was housing, so housing police worked housing.
Strictly housing. Strictly. Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't NYPD.
Okay. Thank
housing,
you.
like that, Cabrini Green in Chicago.
Yeah.
He would work Cabrini Green.
Just to protect the community.
Which was not an easy job at all.
I can only imagine. The stuff like...
when you work in the projects.
Yeah, it's like a 24/7 type of I got you.
No joke.
Since we're talking about 9/11, where were you on 9/11? Do you have any stories that you can share?
I remember exactly where I was on 9/11. I had a company called China Moon Rags, and I was going to Miami. Flying to Miami from Philadelphia to go to a material kind of convention to pick material out for the company. I landed in Miami, and my mom is like blowing did I have a cell phone then? Yes, I had a cell phone.
So cell phones
I had a cell phone.
They were out, but they weren't what they are.
They weren't really popular. Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
I've always had a cell phone. Shut up, Tita. I've always because I
love tech.
Yeah, I love tech. I love like gadgets and things. I've always been into it. But I landed in Miami and my mom is blowing my phone up. I'm like, what? She's like, where are you? I said, I just landed in Miami. You know, I was coming to Miami for the convention. She was like, get to your hotel. They bombed the towers. I was like, what? No, the one tower. She said they bombed, one of the World Trade Center towers. I'm in the taxi cab. I'm told the cab, can you just please get me to the hotel as fast as possible? By the time I got to the hotel, I'm watching on the news the live feed of the second tower being like watching the plane go into. I was just like, whoa. And I just sat and I just started crying because all my grandmother, my aunt, I knew a lot of people that worked down there. Not at that time, because by then, they weren't working there anymore. Thank God. But my grandmother used to work right on Church Street.
That's close. That's
right there.
Wow.
And it was just, to watch those towers fall. It was just
hearing about it as it's happening in real time. Did you know that it was a terrorist attack, or did you think it was an accident?
I had no idea. But by that time, all the newscasters were, talking about the possibilities of what and who it was. But for me, I was just like, who knows what it could be, because nothing is as they tell you.
And I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of speculation around it as it was happening. I'm sure terrible times. Thank God that we're in a better place today.
Yeah. But are we?
So okay. So
we're gonna get into
we're gonna get into that, because now you got me now. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. But before we leap into that direction, who or what inspired you to become an actress?
Oh gosh.
And it's a two-part question. So if you need to think on it. And what was the experience like getting into it, becoming an actress?
I think I've been inspired by a lot of people, like, Carol Burnett, Flip Wilson, Gladys Knight, God, so many people. The list goes on and on. But in terms of being inspired by one particular person, when I got into acting, no. I was always acting up. I always had a big mouth. I was always talky. They call me Talky Tina. I've just always been very sociable. I've always been I've been called all kinds of things.
He's very outspoken.
Extremely.
Okay.
And so I think it just always has been in my bones just to act, because I love making people laugh. That's how I got out of spankings.
Okay.
If I got in trouble with my mother, I would make her laugh.
Okay.
If I made her laugh, then
she forget about everything.
Completely forgot about it. So I started,
you.
And I had to do the same thing for bullies in school. I had a lot of bullies that just wanted to beat me up just for no reason. And if I made them laugh, I got out of it. So
I never knew that being a comedian could.
And I'm not a comedian, but I'm not a comedian.
Listen, I beg to differ. You make us laugh.
Comedic actress.
Okay.
Because
I'll take that.
People who are comedians, what they go through and how they came, that is a world that I would not desecrate, because that's a good God. Okay. I don't know how they do it. God bless them. And I love that whole world of comedy, but
I'll take that.
I have not earned my stripes to be called a comedian.
Okay, so comedic actress.
There you go. I bring the black and white to life. See, when it's on the page, this is what I bring to life.
Okay, and you do it so well.
I try my best.
When you got your break into this industry, did you instantly know during your first experience, during that first take on set, did you instantly know this is what I want to do and who I want to become?
Most definitely.
Okay, so there wasn't an if and or
wasn't anything else in my mind but performing. I wanted to perform. I wanted to perform. I wanted to do it all.
Okay. Was there any advice that you was given at the start of your career that has helped you to get to where you are today?
I got a lot of advice along the way from a lot of people, believe it or not. Whitney Houston gave me some amazing advice. I got advice from Lord have mercy, he just passed. Come on. Happy feelings in the air. Come on, Lord have mercy.
I'm trying.
Frankie Beverly gave me amazing just, about his life and how he got, like, he just answered all my questions. And I was just so grateful to have that moment with him as a music artist. But I've spoken to just a plethora of just Frank Oz, him as a director. I've been blessed to know a lot of people, and a lot of people have really helped me along the way, which is why I always say that information and good information should be free.
Absolutely.
And so if people ask me for help or information, or ask me, how can they? I'm very honest, and
which
I'll answer
we should be. You should always be honest. With
information should be free.
Now, with that advice, is there anything that stood out from what they said to you? If you could think of one thing that Whitney said to you, that Frankie Beverly said, that Frank Oz, anything in particular.
Whitney was like, "You don't let anybody stop you." She said, "You are blessed. You have she just went on. She prophesied, actually. Like, it was crazy.
Can I
didn't expect it. I did not expect it.
Can I ask you, if I may, the Whitney that we, the public, saw on TV, was she really, was that her, in real life?
Okay, and I'm going to tell you this about performers. I change when I perform.
Okay.
Even when I'm acting, I'm always going to incorporate Tichina into whatever it is that I'm doing, so I can be relatable, so it doesn't have to look fake, it doesn't have to look like I'm acting. But you do turn into not someone else, but you do allow your creative side to be at the forefront, as opposed to you at the forefront.
Okay.
And I say that you have to put on a certain air. You have to put on a certain shield. You have to put on a certain hat and wear that when you're performing. Now, when you're around your friends and you're, in a different kind of situation, but, I would say, okay, when the cameras start rolling, you're on. What do you know what I mean? So we're all different, you don't act the same and different. When that camera starts rolling, how does it feel when it starts rolling?
Oh, you got to be ready. You got to be sitting on ready.
Right. So you turn into something a little different.
You got to turn it on.
You
are.
Right.
Yeah, turn it up a notch.
You know what I mean? And like Beyonce, she says she becomes someone else.
Sasha Fierce.
You know what I mean? She named her. So it's like that in life. You're a little different in different situations. So it's like, in regards to Whitney was that performer, and then there was Nippy, and she was just a completely different person, but still the same human being, same beautiful, like still beautiful, very, you wouldn't even expect her to be that sociable, funny, quick-witted.
She was quick, very quick. Yeah.
Quick-witted.
She'll get you if she had to.
Yeah, because it's I'll get you if I have to.
Okay,
get out of my,
never
impede upon my performance.
I love how you're so direct, though, which is what I admire, because you're just and you do it like you're very respectable. Like, you're not out to get anyone. So
No.
And I say that because sometimes people confuse being direct with being disrespectful. I'm like, no, some people are just very direct in who they are and what they need to say.
You got to be careful, because even when I'm in a bad mood, if I'm in a bad mood, I don't come out the house. But if I have to come out the house and someone encounters me, I tell them, look, I'm in a horrible mood. Can you hurry up and sign the paper?
Because I ain't really trying to,
And some people are, like, ugh. But then some people are like, thank you for being honest. Like, what are you going to do?
Honesty is the best policy, as they say.
It always is.
Yeah. Want to talk to you about Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
That was your very first film and musical.
Yeah.
Because you sang. So talk to us about that experience.
It was amazing. To be 15 years old and get the job as one of the street urchins was just life-changing for Tisha and Michelle and I. Michelle was from Fort Greene Projects, where my dad worked. But we all knew each other. And I think that's what made it so 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 great for all of us because it was a huge experience, but we had each other. So we did it in London, so we had each other. It was like that was the first time I've ever gone to London. It was the first time I've ever rode the Concorde. Back then, have you ever heard the Concorde?
I have heard about it, but not yet.
I mean, to get from New York to London in 3 hours. You're flying faster than the speed of sound.
Right, exactly.
It was crazy. So I have all these amazing memories.
And I'm sure that you developed that sisterhood, being in London. How long did you guys film over there?
It was close to a year. Add it all together, it took a year to do that movie. Yeah.
So I'm sure you guys both had a strong bond because of it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. And I mean, we're not gonna just stop at Little Shop of Horrors. You've done done soap operas, All My Children,
Yes.
Ryan's Hope. You've done Law and Order.
Yeah, I was happy to do Law and Order.
Okay, so
very hard to get on that show. But
Is
a lot
it?
of New York actors, like if you're a New York actor back then and you didn't do Law and Order, you weren't considered as really being in show business.
Can I ask you, because, and I've heard this and I don't know it to be true, so because I'm sitting with you, you're a veteran, you educate me. Is it difficult to do a soap opera? Because I was told that to do a soap opera, you have to remember 15 pages of dialogue.
That's where
And you don't get a second take.
No. I had my most embarrassing moment was doing the soap operas. I thought I knew my lines. I had a 3-page dialogue, 3 pages of dialogue. And I thought I knew my lines. And when I sat down and did the scene, my lines just left me. And so I was the newcomer. And I was up against a lot of odds. Dark-skinned black kid on a soap opera.
Because we didn't see a lot of that now then.
So it was a lot of pressure on me. Thank God for Michael Levin because it was his storyline. And I asked him, I said, what made you choose me? He said, Tichina, you were who I wanted for my storyline. You just came in on audition and just lit up the room, and I knew that I wanted you. So because of Michael Levin, he passed, but he was he stood by me, which I always appreciated him for. But yeah, that was a very pivotal time for me because it was like. That was the first time I clammed up. I was just my lines just left my head, and I'm sitting there, and it's a cut. And so you start feeling the cameraman and everybody like, okay. The one thing you do not do is you can't take your time in soap opera.
Oh, you can't, because they move quick.
You learn, everything not to do on soap operas, and that was the one thing that I did learn quickly as well. I saw back then they had teleprompters. Before the teleprompters, they had cards. Like they had big cue cards, and people would read their lines if they forgot their line. Yeah.
Okay.
And I saw that all the actors that stayed on soap operas, they were the ones who read the cards. All the actors that were able to get past soap operas and go on other television shows learned their lines.
Erica Slezak, who is a legend in daytime television, she did an interview years ago, and she said, in order to do a soap opera, the prerequisite is you have to either have a good memory or you got to figure out how to get them lines memorized, because she said if you can't, you're out the door as quick as you.
And then funny thing about soap operas too, have you ever been on a set of a soap opera?
I haven't, but I interviewed Cameron Matheson, who did All My Children and General Hospital, Esther Terblanche as well. Rest in peace, she passed recently. Yeah, so they did All My Children together. And and he was telling me how you got to be quick. And he was like, when you come in and hair and makeup, we're rehearsing. You walking down the hall, you find your scene partner, you're rehearsing. He says, then you go to blocking. Once you go to blocking, the director will go, let's just shoot.
Gotta go.
So there is no run.
Christmas time, you're filming you're shooting five episodes in one day.
And one day.
Because they got to bank the episodes for Christmas.
Right, because
soap operas is every day. So if you ever been on a soap opera set, or if you ever go, I don't know how it is. It might be a lot different now, but you'll see scripts and lines posted everywhere. You'll see lines inside of a drawer. You'll see lines pasted on the side. It's just that quick, and that's where I actually got the muscle of learning my lines fast.
Okay.
Was on soap operas.
But I'm sure the anxiety of it.
It's a high anxiety.
I can only imagine.
High anxiety.
Okay. Major difference when you did Law and Order.
Yeah, well, Law and Order, I was still nervous doing that as
Okay.
well because I got a shot at being on Law and Order. So it's like when that happens, it's like you want to do well, you want to do good, and you want to be prepared. An actor must always be prepared.
I agree.
You have to be prepared.
I agree.
And then I've had moments like when I was in my younger years where I just thought I was prepared and I wasn't prepared enough. And, I felt it.
When you felt it, did you ever have those moments where you went, I might not be coming back to work tomorrow, or they might be done with me? Because I'm sure as an actress, you go through those
I
emotions.
don't put those negative things in my brain. I said that means I have to work harder.
Okay.
I don't. I never have a fear of being fired, so to speak, because I learned from being on stage. You got to be on time. You can't miss cues. You got to go with the flow. If something happens, if the light fell, like the show must go on. So you constantly have to think, which I think a lot of times people, because of that pressure, some people can hack it, some people can't.
So it depends on, you got tough skin, as they say.
You gotta have tough skin.
You gotcha.
You gotta have tough skin. If you don't have tough skin for this industry, 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna make it. And whatever making it is totally up to you.
Gotcha. Now, with that being said, did you have moments during that time where you just was like, I don't necessarily know if this is for me?
As far as show business?
Yeah, as far as show, like, did you
Never.
have, never? Okay.
Never. Thought
Okay.
never, ever crossed my mind.
Because, as an artist, sometimes, we do look at ourselves and we go,
You second guess yourself.
you second guess yourself, like, should I be doing this, or should I just go in a whole totally different career?
I thought about that when I moved to LA.
Okay.
I was like, wait a minute, I gotta pay rent?
Listen, the rent, the rent is renting, as we like to.
When I had to pay rent, because I was, like I told you, I was insulated. I was still in my early 20s living with my mother. I was living in a house in Queens. So when I moved and I booked Martin, that's when I started really living on my own and paying rent. I actually took over Jada's old apartment that she had a little townhouse. And she's like, Tichina, well, I'm moving out of the townhouse. You can move into that townhouse. And it's, the rent is nice. The rent is like, And I was like, rent? Oh, man, I got to pay rent. And that's when life got real.
Ooh, okay. It got real, but like you said, the show must go on.
Yeah.
And speaking of Martin, in 1992, you were cast as the iconic Pamela Pam James, who still to this day,
That's crazy.
like I tell people, you better put some respect on Pam. I say that whenever I get the opportunity. How did that role come about? And before we even get into that, Martin, for all of us, is a treasure. I share with Martin that I'm from PG County, Maryland. Shout out to PG.
Right.
Martin is from the same neighborhood that I'm from. He went to school with Uncle and my mom. So we from the same area. So for me,
from the same hood.
from the same hood. So it means it's very special to me, when I watch Martin, and to see someone like him make it out of that environment and to be where he is today. But for you, how did that come about for you? Like, how did you get Martin? What was that process like?
So Tisha and Martin had done what's the movie?
House Party.
And Martin told Tisha, he was like, man, I'm doing the show. I want you to, play my girlfriend on this show. So at the time, when I first moved to LA, I lived with Tisha for like a month or two.
Really?
With Tisha and her mom in Mar Vista.
I didn't know
And so because I was there trying it out, because Tisha had already been here 10 years prior to me coming. And so she kind of knew the lay of the land, and, she was like getting it. And I was just like, okay, I want to, come to LA. So when I decided that I didn't want to do theater anymore, because I was doing the Buddy Holly story tour. Okay. And just do, odd and end work in New York. And I said, I want to be on nighttime television. I called it nighttime, but I wanted to be on a sitcom. And she was like, no, come on out, feel it out. And I ended up coming out and booking 3 television shows at one time. I actually wanted to do this show called Main Street, which was a sketch comedy. So in show business, if you get booked on 2 to 3 different things, one has to take first position. So Main Street was the first position. Then there was another show called CCPD with Dan Aykroyd. That was in second position, and the third position was Martin. I really wasn't even trying to do Martin. I was trying to do Main Street. And Main Street and CCPD did not get picked up. Thank God, obviously, because Martin for me would never have happened. So Tisha was offered the role, and then me living with her, I said, I want to audition. Don't put in a good word for me. Let me just get it on my own. And originally, the role of Pam was for a heavyset girl. So all the jokes were, heavyset jokks.
But then Martin saw you, which I can't see nobody else as Pam.
He didn't even know me and Tisha were living with each other.
Really?
We was like, we don't want to, because you keep your private life private. But he was just like, wait a minute, y'all were living with each other? I was like, yeah. We didn't tell him till later. But, it felt better for me to have gotten it on my own and not have anybody, I don't know why. I should have told her to put in a good word for me. I don't know what
I'm sure she would. I'm sure she
of
would.
course she would have. But, back then, it's like, you want to get things on your own. Like, you want to get a job as an actor and know that whoever hired you wants you.
Based off of your merit and your talent.
Your work. Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
You never want to get a job that somebody puts you in, and then if you don't cut the mustard,
they're going to be looking at that person like, why you refer so-and-so, and it makes you look bad.
Crazy.
Yeah,
you want to get things on your own merit. And if you do have a leg up and somebody does refer you, hopefully they're referring you because they know that you could do the job.
Right. Gotcha. Martin was and is a cultural phenomenon. I mean, it's people still to this day. I have like nieces, nephews, and cousins that are like 10 and 11 and 12, and they like Martin. They was like, did you see the episode of Martin? I'm like, yeah, I'm a little bit older, so I seen it. So it's that iconic. Yeah. Did you know that the show would become a huge hit?
We had no idea.
No idea.
We had no idea. We were just happy to be working. I was happy to be on a nighttime television show. We were just excited. We really, all of us, we didn't realize what we had until we went into syndication. And when once we went into syndication and we started seeing people recognize us, and like I remember we were planning to go to St. Thomas for Thanksgiving. We got off the plane and they were like, "Oh, Martin, Tommy," we were like, "Wait, what?" So that's when we're like, oh, we really, wow, that we're getting some recognition. So for us to have, been on for 5 years, we did about over 100.
Over 100, well over 100 episodes, and the comedic timing of the entire cast, it was perfect.
We had fun.
Like from a viewer, it was perfect. I
think that's what people see is the stuff, the energy, that was there that we had as we were doing it.
Pam and Martin had a very interesting relationship. Y'all roasted each other a lot.
All the time.
And I loved it. And it was coming from a place of love, which we all enjoy.
What's up,
but was a lot of that ad-libbed?
A lot of it was ad-libbed. Like what they would do is, okay, so how we would set up on Martin, we would, I can't remember if it was a Tuesday or Wednesday, but you have a tape day. So we would tape and get everything in the can during the day. And then by 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, we would load the audience in. And the audience will watch us do it all over again, but like a live play.
Okay.
So we do it, all the scenes, all over again in front of a live audience.
Whether you mess up or not, that audience is there to see.
There to see it. And if we had to take and do it again, we'll like do it over again. But that was the fun of it because the audience would get to see the finished product. So by the time they got there, we already had what we needed in the can. And then by the time the audience was there, it was all extra.
Okay. When I see you, I don't see anybody who's ever been shy. Like, I don't get that vibe from you. So shooting in front of a live audience, did you ever feel nervous?
No. Because remember, theater prepared me. Theater prepared me for television.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Speaking of Martin, I got some favorite episodes that I want to talk to you about. One of my favorite episodes, and I'm sure you remember this, it was the episode where I think you had to go to the dentist, and I'll remember the name of the episode. You went to the dentist, and I think you was hypnotized. You had too much Novocaine or something. Yeah. And every time they would clap, you would become Martin. Yeah. Did you have to really study Martin? Because you had him down to a T.
I did not know that I knew Martin as well as I did until I started doing it. I was very excited when I saw that written into, into the script. I was like, oh my God. I think it was called Tooth Fairy, something about the Tooth Fairy. I think that was the name of the episode. But literally, I was like, wow, Tichina, this is a great opportunity. Don't blow it. Don't blow it. Do the best you can at it. And I just went into a zone where I didn't know Martin as much as I thought I knew him until I started doing it.
You know him well. I mean, from from just like his body movements. I think you did something, the facial expressions. I was like, okay, that's Martin. So I had to ask, did you have to study him in order to capture those
just being
moments?
with him every day, and because Martin taught me a lot about comedy.
I was going to ask you that. I'm glad you spoke on that.
He was Martin's so to me one of the most prolific comedians there is to this day because of how he did his comedy, like his physical comedy, his quick-wittedness. He was just quick on his feet, and I saw how he operated. I was like, hey, when he moves, you move. Okay. Just like that.
I got it.
You gotta keep up with him.
You gotta keep up.
And so he got my comedic, muscle. He made it very strong.
Okay. Another one of my favorite episodes, Sophisticated Ladies. Do you remember that?
Which one was that?
Martin was Shanae. You and Gina. I always love it when Martin transforms into Shanae. I felt like
Shanae
was the funniest in my opinion.
I liked
Jerome?
no, Otis.
Otis? Okay. Otis was good.
Otis made me laugh.
I don't know.
What you don't do down there? What you shit down, boy?
It was something about Shanae, like, oh my goodness, like Shanae was.
Everybody loves Shanae.
But in that episode in Sophisticated Ladies, you and Gina were trying to get into the ladies' league, and y'all thought y'all had it.
Yo-Yo was on that episode.
Yeah, she was there. Y'all thought y'all had it, and Shanae, they ended up giving it to Shanae, and you and Gina had to bag. Pam and Gina had to bag Shanae to get into the ladies' league. And I think that was the same episode where toward the end of the episode, Martin and Tommy supposed they went on a trip, and then they came back and y'all was roasting each other. It was like the couples against each other. Like y'all was roasting each like.
So you know this better than I
do. you was on it though, so yeah. But I enjoy that episode. Like the comedy, like it was epic television for me. Gotta ask you and Tisha being friends, what was it like working with her in that environment?
A lot of fun. Like Tisha and I think, we definitely have known each other in another lifetime because just our synergy when we work together. We get along with each other, but, outside of that, we just work well with each other. It's like just ever since we've known each other, because we would go on auditions and we would see each other, and back then it was a light skin, dark skin thing where colorism was real strong back then. But she never allowed it to get in her way. Being a lighter complected black woman, she never allowed that, and how she treated other actors who weren't of lighter complexions. Gotcha. Some women, they're like, oh yeah. They give you that look colorism is real amongst us, amongst our community. But she wasn't like that. And so on our auditions, we would always say, well, if I don't get it, I hope you get it. If you don't get it, I hope I get it. So it's like we always had that in mind. And then from there, when we booked Martin, it was just we were excited to be working with each other.
What did you enjoy most about playing Pam?
Everything.
Everything.
I love being Martin's nemesis. I loved her interaction with, all the rest of the characters. I loved how they developed Pam. Tisha and I always used to hope that we would get more scenes together, at our work, just like we love when they wrote us being funny together in the same scene. Okay. We used to wish for that.
Gotcha.
But no, I just loved everything about playing Pam.
Is there anything in particular that you wish the writers would have done with Pam? Like any direction that you would have preferred the writers to take the character of Pam?
They did. That was ended up being my spinoff, where I became a music A&R person with Dondre Whitfield.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And ended up so everything like toward like around the third season into Martin, they started listening a little more because you got to earn your stripes in show business. And so by the third season, because I people don't even realize I wasn't in all of the episodes. My contract was 7 out of 13, so I wasn't all shows produced.
I think I remember the first season where the show was really developing. We seen, of course, Martin and Tisha, and then we would see you, Tommy, and Cole come in and out.
Well, yeah, everybody, Martin and Tommy and Carl and Tisha, they were all shows produced. I was the only one that was 7 out of 13. They were in every episode. I wasn't.
Why was it?
Because then, when you have a black show, especially, you don't get a high budget. Okay. And back then, Fox was an independent network. It wasn't a real, a major network.
Okay.
Something's got to give. So in order for them, if you notice, like when Jodeci came on, I wasn't in the Jodeci episode because, they got to pay the guest stars.
Oh, okay.
So that means I have to be out of the show in order to accommodate the budget has to be able to accommodate for guests to come on so they could pay the guests obviously to do. So I would be the sacrificial.
Oh, well, I'm sorry you had to go through that. But
that's the name of show business. That's how it works.
How did the success of Martin affect not only you but the people around you at that time?
In a lot of good ways. I mean, I obviously it gave me a lot of exposure. It gave me credibility as a comedic actress. And it gave me more leverage, just being in show business. It allowed you to be seen. But the downside of that, I was typecasted.
I was gonna get to that. See, you moving right along to shit. I love it though. And I wanna pause you right there just because I really want to get into that.
Sure.
You do feel as Pam that you were typecast, but like, did you own it or do you get tired of people saying I'm Pam or I don't want you to see me as?
The only time I get tired of somebody calling me Pam is if you know my real name. It's but for people to call me Pam that don't know me, that means I just did my job right. I've always equated it as they like what I did. And I get it. I don't make a big deal out of that.
I would assume that, that role of Pam, and again, I could be right or wrong, it did create new opportunities for you.
Actually, right away, no, did not.
Okay, all right, we're going. Okay. Before we dive into that, I know you said that Martin taught you everything about comedy. Is there anything in particular that Martin taught you that's carried you to where you are today? Is anything in particular?
Being able to think quick on your feet, in terms of comedy, because he had the muscle of being a comedian, so he's constantly thinking of, quick jokes and quick things to say. My quick-wittedness came from being at home cracking on my friends and what I mean? Like, that's where my quick-wittedness came from. It wasn't from being on stage and being a comedian. So we had two different types of comedy. But like with Martin, you would have the script, but he didn't go on script all the time. And he allows comedy to live. And I always respected that. Which is one of the reasons why I don't watch myself. I cannot watch myself.
I'm with you on that. I hate watching myself because when you watch yourself, you always pick and pull apart. Yeah. I could have did these things differently. Yeah. We never see ourselves the way that others see us. See you. Yeah. Right. It was a couple of times on Martin where I saw that y'all almost broke character.
Oh, we used to try to make each other. That was the whole, our goal was to make each other laugh. We were
y'all would have to go, y'all would huddle sometimes. Yeah. And I seen in particular, it was Martin with Shanae and it was you and him. Y'all was doing the nail, the all right thing. And I could tell that y'all was breaking character and they was trying to move it on along so that y'all wouldn't. So some funny stuff,
we have great moments. Great moments.
Great moments. We can't talk about Martin, of course, without talking about the amazing Thomas Mikal Ford, who we lost in 2016. It was a huge loss. Tommy was a very huge part of Martin. So can you talk about how you've dealt with that loss, how the cast
And it's
dealt?
Thomas Mikal Ford.
McCall. Okay. See, I was wrong. Okay.
No, it looks like Michael, but it's
It's McCall.
okay. Yeah, he Tommy's just a great. He thinks he was a preacher. Like I call him preacher man. I call him a preacher huzzy. He was just a good guy. Just a very theater trained. And he's actually a dramatic an actor. So. He would be like, man, Martin wants me to do this comedy stuff, but he was perfect for it because, Martin loved him, respected him. So he was actually, he and Tisha were the two people that Martin asked to do the show.
Okay.
They didn't have to audition.
You and Carl were the only two.
Yeah, they had to audition.
Okay, got you. Dealing with the loss of that, how have you been able to just like navigate through your grief?
Yeah, I grieve differently than others. But it was hard, because his babies, I know his family, and I was there. I was in Atlanta when he passed, so I was blessed to be, I was there. I got to the hospital. I experienced it. It wasn't easy, okay. But in life, we all. I wish we could live forever, but we're not. We all, You're gonna live and die and pay taxes. That's what you're gonna do.
Two things that we won't escape.
So it wasn't easy. His children. He was a good father, and my heart was heavy for them.
Okay, and today, I'm pretty sure you think about him often.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm sure he's with you through everything that you do.
Yes, because he had a very big, He was outside of being a big, gentle guy. Just he had a big personality. Just talk to everybody. I hated going out with him because it's like, oh, Tommy, would you hurry up? He had to talk to.
So he was the one that was holding the long conversations where you're like, look, we got to be somewhere in like 30 minutes.
I literally would pull him like, dude, let's go. And people love to touch his head. He's like, why does everybody want to touch my ball head? We would call it scoop ball head. But, he was just very, very gracious to everyone.
Okay. We can't end on that note without you doing give us your best Tommy impersonation, because
I'm not a good person, but he would always, and he would stutter. We would tease him about he'll get caught up on his words and stutter sometimes, but he loved everything he did. He was always preaching about preaching it. He was just a big personality. He had a lot of he was a giver, took care of his family very well, loved his mom. He's a good representation of a black man.
I love it. When I watch Tommy and Martin, I'm always remember, you ain't got no job, man, like that.
Man. And all of that happened with that kind of development. It's Tommy did have a job really early in the first episode.
What was
it? And I can't remember. I can't remember what it was, but it was in an office building. I can't remember what it was. I think it was either youth counselor or something like that. Okay. I'm horrible. Listen, I'm 55. Don't hold it to me. But he did have a job, and I think there was a question on one of these shows that asked it, and I cannot remember the answer. But he did have a job, but that ended up, him not having a job was a lot more funny than him having a job. So that kind of developed as the show
went developed, on. Especially like you said, when he was like, he grabbed the ear. Y'all did an episode about that. It was hilarious. Dealing with grief, do you have any advice for anyone who's dealing, and I know that's a big question, but we all deal with grief, as you stated earlier, differently. I know for me, I internalize things a lot. So it's I don't quite know how to deal with it. But what advice would you give to someone who is?
I want to tell you, and the reason why I'm on my phone because I just I sent this to someone who I thought, needed it because they were grieving at the time. I hope I can find it.
Okay.
Give me a moment.
Yeah, take your time. Take your time.
This might be in here. Because I gave them, I kind of listen to my spirit, and I do what God tells me to do at the moment.
Okay.
You know, and this is what I say about grief. And the reason why I'm reading it, because I just wrote this. You know, I said, there are never any mistakes when it comes to how God moves in our lives. Trusting in God is never easy. It's not always easy, especially at the loss of a loved one. This is what I said. Try your best to do the following. Pray for yourself no matter how hard it is. Talk yourself through it. Do not second guess your actions as a human being. Take one thing at a time. Get proper sleep, but get up early and catch nature as it awakens. It will give you strength. Get any sunlight that you can. Feed your melanin. I was talking to, obviously, a black person. Be around company and people you love when needed. Recognize moments of relief when you can smile or laugh. Stretch your body. Allow the blood to flow because your body does record pain. And breathe. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Wow. And these are things that I had to remember for someone that lost their son. Because no parent ever wants to bury a child. So I just ask God to give me what to say to this individual. Because, when people grieve, we all grieve differently. Like, I internalize as well. But that can also rip you up inside as well if you don't know how to do it.
Right. I think with grief, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever been through this where you ever ask yourself, do I have a right to grieve for that person? And I say that
That's a very honest question.
Because if you weren't the closest with the person, if you didn't see the person enough, or maybe you weren't on the best of terms with a person, because I've lost family members, and then you ask yourself, like, do I have a right to really grieve for that person? Because I know we didn't speak as often. So sometimes I battle with that.
What are you? But are you in touch with your own emotions? Are you? A lot of times when that's why I always tell people, talk yourself through it, and sometimes talk out loud.
Okay.
You'll be able to answer your own questions. I mean, a lot of people feel crazy talking out loud. You're not crazy for talking out loud. You're not crazy for kicking a wall either.
Okay.
Haven't
done that yet, but
you gotta release that energy sometimes. But I would say, it helps me. I mean, what helps me may not help you, but I only give, I only give suggestions just from experience. I'll never talk or give anybody that I have not experienced myself.
Okay.
But I found that even when I'm in my low points, so I feel, don't feel good or I'm grieving, I taught myself how, ask myself questions. Tichina, why do you feel this way? When did you start feeling this way? What changed? And I do it with my daughter as well.
Okay.
Because we get so easy into going to blaming everybody else. It's like, what did you do? You're responsible for you.
I love it.
Right?
Because accountability.
It's just
common sense, accountability. And I always tell people, like, even if you feel that you were right in a situation, you still got to take accountability for what you contributed.
Most definitely.
Because at the end of the day, like, we contribute to the outcome of what the situation can and will become.
Most definitely.
So I always say that. But I want to say I appreciate those words of wisdom as it pertains to grief, because sometimes I just battle with,
Are you battling with grief now?
Kind of, sort of, because like when
that was an interesting question. That's why I was like, what happened?
I lost my grandfather, and when I lost my grandfather years ago, I came to California actually to do an interview, and somebody pulled me aside and was like, Antwan, how are you interviewing without, taking time to properly grieve? I didn't understand it at the time. It was like my very first loss. And he said to me, he was like, I lost my best friend. He was like, I turned to drugs, alcohol, and I was just living reckless. He was like, if you don't figure out how to deal with it, it's going to eat you up and you're going to self-destruct. And I think those words have kind of followed me. I feel like I'm a little bit better with it now. I think the way that I've gotten better with it is, I think about the good moments. I think about knowing that, I wasn't on bad terms. Maybe if we weren't the closest, we weren't on bad terms, which is a great thing. I lost my uncle to cancer. And I remember picking up his ashes and putting them in the car with me and riding back. And I kind of was having, like, talking out loud, like you said, just having a real conversation. Like, I got you in the front, you know, you good, you going home with me. But it's things like that that helps you navigate through that process. So I just want to say thank you for those words of wisdom, because it's a challenging process to go through.
Most definitely. Yeah. I mean, we just lost our matriarch, my grandma. My grandma just passed.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And, it's like this. You have to, always think of death as life. Like, you just got to kind of flip it around a little bit and think of you living your life without that person. What if you had never had that person in your life? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you be grateful for the time that you had with that person, as opposed to paying attention and harping on the time that you're not going to have anymore. You just got to kind of flip things around a little bit. Flip things on the other side instead of looking at what you don't have. What did you have? And the fact that you even had a grandfather. A lot of people
don't have that.
Just never had that patriarch in their lives. And you had one.
Right.
You know?
And you learn from it as well. You learn through grief, like, how to treat people that take nothing for granted. Because time is something, that we don't have. We don't know how long we're going to be here. So you have to really look at it and go, like, I want to be a better person for me so that I can be a greater person for those that are in and around my life, pretty much.
And just like you said, the friend that got on drugs and all that stuff, I think that the grief is just kind of the tipping point. There's a lot of other stuff there that was probably, that your friend probably didn't deal with. And then the death of somebody just kind of tipped it over. It's never just one thing.
One thing, I agree with you, it could have been.
Because we all decide to do things. You decide to get on drugs. You decide to put a needle in your arm. You decide to sniff stuff up your nose. You decide to pop pills. You make decisions.
You getting real deep with it.
I mean,
but it's true.
Accountability.
Accountability, and I always say it's up to us as we grow older to unlearn certain things that we learned as we were growing up. Because you get to a point and place in life where you can't keep blaming your friends or your family for your mishaps or mistakes that have taken place in life. You got to look at yourself and be like, it's me. I'm the problem. I've contributed to my issues. And just start affirming it and look at yourself and go, I got to do better in order to be better.
And then, let me tell you, sometimes you're not the problem. Because you know what I mean? You got a lot of people that dump stuff on you. Like, I had a lot of situations where I got off a conversation with somebody one time, and I got off the phone trying to figure out their problem. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is not even my issue. So, but that comes in time, and that comes with as your wisdom grows, as my information and my experience with life grows. When I was younger, I would not be able to understand that because I wouldn't look at it that way. But it's like I'm older, I have my own responsibilities now, and I can't afford to deal with other people's problems, and I won't allow myself to deal with other people's problems. I'll deal with problems and other people as I want to, not as they want me to.
Because you can't allow others to make you feel guilty about how you didn't show up. And we all have feelings, and it's okay to express how you feel. But you can never blame other people entirely for the outcome of your life.
Exactly. Exactly. I always ask, like, when people tell me their problems, I'm like, okay, let's start over. Tell me what happened in this day. So what, and then they realize what they did, because you do things along the way to either help that problem or make that problem worse. But it's your choices. You got
to speak to the people, Tichina, because some people don't understand it. Some people, it's always you, and you have done this to me. And then I always look at you and I go, how did you contribute to the outcome of this situation? Yeah. Accountability is everything. If you can't take accountability, you'll never grow.
Not taking accountability is a very bad habit. And we as adults, we have a lot of bad habits. I'm 55 and I still have a lot of bad habits. But I think you should be cognizant of those habits and try to, if those habits are not working for you, then undo them.
Undo them.
Just as hard, as long as it took to get those habits, It's gonna take that much longer to break them.
And I say to people too, like it's okay to be wrong. Because,
course.
we look at like being wrong as it's the worst thing that's happened. I say to people, no, it's okay to be wrong because we're human. The one thing that I always say in life is I always want to be teachable because I'm not always right.
Yeah, and you don't know everything.
You don't know everything. And the moment that you feel that you're always right, then you can't learn. You won't grow because you feel like you know it all.
Very true.
And you can't live like that. Like I've had moments too, like you said, where I might not wake up and I'm in the best mood. And I always say to my friends, like if I made you feel a certain type of way, I apologize because it's not right of me to take out my frustrations and my issues out on you. It's just not fair. So I want to say I appreciate you, just spilling words of wisdom.
Back in the day, we called check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Before you wreck yourself. I heard that.
But that's some real spit. You got to check yourself first before you check other people. Check yourself first.
Absolutely,
for sure.
When Martin ended, like what happened after Martin ended?
We all went our different ways. But I didn't work for a minute. I thought for sure that I could get opportunities at at another role on another television show. And that's not what happened.
You sat still for a minute?
Yeah, well, I did audition for some things, but like I told you earlier, I was typecasted. So it's like you would hear, "Oh, we love Tichina, she's great, but we're gonna go in another direction." So in that regard, being on a television show that long, playing a specific role, did not work well for me in that regard.
Okay, and trust me, we want you to work because you know what they say: if you can't work, then you can't pay your bills.
But you got to keep at it.
You got to keep at it.
This business is the business. It's like you have fun performing, but this is a business.
It is a business.
That's why it's called show
business, and you can't take it personal. Some people don't.
So I decided to, I was a little reckless during those days as well, because it's like, I think young people, when they have too much time on their hands, can be very, make certain decisions where you're like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. But, thank God I've had an opportunity to undo things and make things right. But I just always wanted to work. And to this day, I love the profession that I chose. Being in comedy, I could do this like Betty White till I'm
forever. And don't stop. Keep going.
I have that. I like choices in life, and I like to afford myself choices.
Okay. During the transition from Martin, I know that you said you weren't working for a period of time, but during this period of time, you became a mother in 2004. Got to talk to you about motherhood and that journey, because you're now a mother, so now you're responsible for the life of someone else.
Yes.
What was that? What has that journey been like for you?
The journey has been a lot. Thank God for family. And I tell women all the time, it's impossible to raise a child by yourself. It's impossible. It's impossible. Like I don't care. Even if you don't have family, you're gonna have a neighbor. You have somebody along the way that helps you. Even with daycare, it's impossible. Not unless you're living out in the woods. With nothing, it's impossible to raise a child by yourself. I didn't expect to get pregnant. I had endometriosis really, really bad. I had my whole, I kind of had my life planned out with Elijah's dad, who I thought I was going to marry. We had all these plans, and that didn't happen.
Okay.
And I didn't get pregnant with her until after we broke up. So it's kind of something that I wanted, but didn't expect to get it
at that particular time.
I was like, oh man, what the hell? But it happened, and Elijah had to get here. And I tell her to this day. She was like, well, when she was little, she was like, well, why don't you and my dad love each other? I said, we loved each other long enough for you to get here.
Okay.
So she understood that. But, it's nothing you plan. But like I said, life keeps lifing. And
keeps happening.
And you just got to deal with life as it comes. But I had a lot of help. My family helped me out a lot.
So was Elijah's dad? Did you two co-parent, or were you more so?
No, he wasn't in her life at all. My honest.
And I want to ask you.
Well, he was a product of his environment as well. So he, his parents had him young. So it's kind of,
Okay, now I feel like you about to take us to church with this one because it really resonates with me. You growing up, you becoming a single parent. And I look at my situation. My mom, like, I grew up without my dad too. So for you, like, what was it like to be a single parent, and did you view men differently from that point forward?
I didn't view men that way at all. All I knew was like, okay, I don't have help on this end, and I got to keep it moving. But I remember thanking God that I had a girl, because I'm a woman. I know how to raise a girl.
Okay.
I know how to raise this young life, this young female life, the way I would raise the way I would raise myself. I'm a woman. She's going to be a woman. I'm going to give her all the tools, everything that I need to give her in order for her to be a productive Black female in this life.
Okay.
And that's what I did. I gave her all the things that I could give her. I'm not her dad. I can't be a man. I can be a woman, and I'm gonna be the best woman that I can for her.
Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, how did it affect Elijah to grow up without her father being present?
We had moments where it just wasn't easy. And then when she got older, I told him, I was like, she was calling him 50 times a day. I was like, you can't get out of this. So, but, and it's not that he wanted to be, just, it's for him. It was a systemic issue. And so, like I said, when you're raised a certain way, there's no one there to teach you. Like, if your father's doing certain things and treating you a certain way, guess what? You're going to be the same way. You're going to pick up those same, I guess, attributes.
Yes.
And then when you get older, you realize, oh, man, I probably should have did a little differently. So, I mean, I just always want to live life without regrets. And, raising a child by yourself most definitely is not easy. But I tell people all the time, you just got to do the best you can with the tools you got, and never ever turn down help.
That's all you can do. and I want to say, because we're touching on growing, being a single parent, I just want to say, if you're a father to a kid, be in your kid's life, truly, because I don't think that a lot of men understand that a father kids and abandon kids. I don't think they truly understand how it affects us as the kids, because you can lie to everybody else that you want to lie to, but when your kid is looking you in the face, asking you, where were you? Why were you not as present or not present at all? It's hard to lie to your kid. And
so for us and for Elijah's dad, and it was like a little easier for him because we lived in different states, and I'm not making excuses for him, but I knew that once Elijah got to a certain age, because I will tell you this, I told him he better be lucky that I didn't have a boy. Had I had a boy, it would have been a different.
All bets would have been.
I kind of let a lot of stuff slide because I was a woman raising a little woman.
A woman, okay.
Had I had a boy, it would have been a different story. But I knew that we both had to grow, and I didn't want to put him through the system and do all of that. I just, because I knew his life and what he came from and what he got through. It's just like, okay, give him time. And that's exactly what happened. He's in her life now.
Okay, so things are better.
Yeah, you got to give things time to grow. You got to give people time to grow. We all grow at different levels. We all grow at different times. But, don't look down on anybody else because, they're a certain way. You be responsible for what you're doing. Just as how I got pregnant, it ain't only his fault.
It's your fault.
My fault. So, we both did it together.
That's a very mature way of looking at
him.
it. Yeah, very mature of you to say that, because a lot of women would think the opposite.
They got to listen. You got, what did I do in this situation?
To
right?
be in this situation.
There you go.
Exactly.
If you laid down and you weren't using protection, guess what?
We know what happens. Come on.
Common sense.
Common sense. What is the greatest lesson that you've learned since becoming a mother?
Oh gosh, that it's not all about me. It teaches you because being in show business is like being used to doing my thing. And I didn't. And just for the record, I didn't have her till I was 30. By the time I had Elijah, I was 35, so I was a grown ass woman.
Okay.
I was able to take care of myself and able to take care of her as well. So my situation wasn't me being a young mother. I'm sure things would have been a lot differently had I been younger. But I'm happy that I was at a mature age to be able to handle being a single mom.
And I'm sure it's been an amazing journey, as you stated earlier, to raise, a little girl into a grown adult woman right now.
She'll be 21 in March.
Oh, okay. Okay, so she's officially
Yeah.
she's officially an adult. When you look at your daughter, do you see a lot of yourself in your daughter?
I see at first when she was younger, I didn't see it. But now watching her, now that she's developed and she has my laugh, I was like, she's stealing all my stilo.
And can I throw in you a singer, and she's a singer,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's in the DNA. I mean,
And she's a writer. Her song is her
Okay,
dad
yeah.
is a songwriter, so she has that. She's the amazing songwriter. It is. It's almost. It's weird seeing it sometimes. It's just like wow, that's
It's like a mini you.
mini me. And she ain't mini no more. She's taller than me.
She's taller than you.
She's
You
taller
know what?
than
I
me.
think when I saw you in New York last year, she was a bit taller than you.
Yeah,
Now,
she's
if
taller
I
than
think
me.
back.
But she's a great human being. She really is. She's a
When
good
I met her,
kid.
she's really nice, very respectful.
Thank
So
God.
I just
Thank
want
God.
to say you did a good job.
High five for
you
that.
did a great
Thank you.
job. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever had to say no to opportunities since becoming a mom?
You know what? I gladly said no to a few opportunities because I decided as she was getting older, I decided I'm not going to do anything that she can't watch. So it allowed me to have a certain moral standard and a moral code
Okay.
in terms of the jobs that I took.
Okay.
Which I think I still would have had anyway because I'm not kind of, I'm the funny, goofy, type anyway. But, it just allowed me to have a different moral grounding being a mother.
Okay. Is motherhood stigmatized in Hollywood?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
But in the 90s, this would have been
Oh, yeah.
unacceptable.
In the 90s, yeah, this would have been, in the 80s, yeah, it would have been a lot harder. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I imagine in the 80s or 90s, if you're pregnant with a child, you would get fired.
Go away, hide.
I've heard singers. I was watching the Braxtons actually, and they were talking about their journey and how when they got pregnant they couldn't sign certain record deals and things of that nature. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was that.
And
big
that the music world, completely different than the acting world. Which is why if I had $1 for everybody that asked me, oh, when's your album coming out? I really try to take a shot at music, and too many gray areas in music world.
But you're amazing.
I like structure.
Structure, okay.
And music, no structure.
No structure, okay. Because you're a mother, and I know that women in Hollywood and show business that have become mothers, they talk about the pressures of plastic surgery, ageism, and things like that. Have you ever felt pressured to chase beauty, to chase youth? Really?
I'm telling you, this is where comedy saves my life because just my personality as well. No, and I never looked down on anybody else that did it. Listen, I'm like, hey, if I have saggy breasts, I got saggy breasts. It just is what it is. Guess what? They got push-up bras. I never wanted to. I was more very conscious of my teeth. I had very crooked teeth. I always wanted to do commercials as a little girl. Couldn't do them because my teeth weren't straight. And I never had time to wear braces because the braces would take too long and then I still wouldn't get hired because I had braces. So it's like, I learned these things so much at an earlier age. I was around women that aesthetically they were okay with the way they look. So I didn't grow up that way.
Okay.
But getting more into show business, I saw a lot of women who were very into the whole aesthetics, which I get. I don't down that. But, even with me getting my teeth, I was like, damn, I got to get these fixed every 15 years. So it's like, I don't want to put anything foreign in my body that what happens when I'm 90 years old? Do I have to get that fixed? Like, even with tattoos, it's like, I don't want you to see any of my tattoos. Because I have 3 tattoos, but you can't see them. Well, you can't see this one.
You can't, because it's on your neck. But
certain things, I just didn't want to limit myself. But when you talk to cutting open your body and doing things, I'm just never for that.
Okay, so I appreciate the fact that you love yourself and appreciate yourself and confident with who you are as a person to say no. Like, I'm proud to go along with the aging process, because you can't look 20 or 25 forever. And I feel like in Hollywood, Halle Berry said it best, they do push plastic surgery on you as if it's crack or whatever.
Oh, see, what's for Halle Berry, she was rated the most beautiful woman in the world.
She was.
So, of course, they're going to, maybe you should get this and do that. That's a lot of pressure, I thank God I did not have that kind of pressure, because I'm the, get over there and be funny.
You're funny, but you're a beautiful woman, so yeah.
But I'm not in that same category and which is what I loved about being in the category that I'm in. There's less pressure when you're the funny girl. Like Lucille Ball, I'm sure nobody pressured her to try to have surgery because she was so good at being funny.
So they focus on the funny.
You focus on the funny and not, but when you're the beauty star and, you're going to get a lot of pressure to, keep that up, keep those aesthetics and that beauty up, and it's not easy. Like, even getting hair. Like, look, took me forever. You had to wait for me to finish my makeup. It's like, it takes time.
Well, we understand. We get it. We understand.
It takes time. And the older you get, it takes a lot more time. But, you got to find beauty within. And the beauty within is your personality.
It starts within.
It starts within.
And
you got to be okay with that.
You have to be okay with that. And I'm sure you may or you may not understand that you're an inspiration for people that want to see someone that's a representation of them, that looks like them. Because, as we stated earlier, it's very easy to get caught up in that I need to look a certain type of way.
Because you do think about it, and it's okay to think about that. It's okay to think because you're doing jobs, like you're getting paid to look a certain, and but guess where that starts? Come on, we're talking about common sense. You eat healthy. There's a way to look amazing without going
under the knife. So
there's a way to do it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because you're inspiring so many women right now who may be on the road to they don't know where I'm going or what should I do. Like, should I do this to myself or should I not? I mean, you could actually help them make those decisions through your journey. In life, we inspire people whether we intend to or not.
Well, I think we're here to inspire. It's not just about you. It's not all about you. And I told you what motherhood taught me. You have a bigger purpose in life, and now you have another life that you are
responsible,
that is dependent upon you. And even I had this conversation with my daughter, and she's the same way like me. She's like, she wouldn't even think about getting surgery. She wouldn't even think about it.
But that speaks to her character and being confident with who you are. Sometimes you got to look at yourself. I was told years ago when I went into a casting, I had a producer say to me, if you got your nose, if it was less narrow, or I think she said less broad or something, you would book more roles. And she used the term rhinoplasty. And I'm going to be honest, at the time, I was like, who or what?
And do you know that broad nose is just so mannish and so sexy to millions of people? I love your nose. Are you kidding me?
I appreciate that. I was told that I should change my nose.
Out of here. Your nose is a part of who you are.
I appreciate
that. See,
and
and with me, I had an excuse to get nose surgery. You see this scar? I got hit in the nose as a little girl. How old was I? How old was I when the swing hit me? 7. I was 7 years old. I mean, split my nose open to the bone. My dad passed out, like literally. It was bad. And my mom stopped them from putting the stitches, because I would have those little stitches in my nose. So I think they did the tape thing. But I had the excuse to get a nose job. But no, you gotta love yourself. Even if you don't like certain attributes about yourself, which we all do.
That's
somebody else likes it.
hey,
and that's okay. And we're all different, and we just got to be okay with ourselves. You got to be okay with yourself.
And we have to understand that I am who I am, as just like you are who you are. Be okay with it. Accept it. Accept your flaws and your imperfections, because none
And
of
are
us.
they flaws?
Ooh,
Who
okay.
says they're flaws?
Okay. You got me with that one. Because sometimes we don't vision it
Because
that
you're
way.
looking at other people and you're listening to other people and what they think of other people.
Instead of
what
listening.
do you think?
Again,
Now, if you look
words
at
of wisdom.
yourself and say, you know what, I think I need, or I want. Don't think. What is
No.
it that you want? Then do it. Knock yourself out.
Okay.
But don't allow other people's perceptions to get in the way and cloud your vision of how you see yourself.
I accept that. Like, we hear y'all, we speaking all facts and all caps, as I like to say.
That's right.
I want to ask you, did becoming a mother prepare you for the role of Rochelle on Everybody Hates Chris?
It did.
Okay,
It did.
talk to us
Elijah
about
got
that.
there
Come on.
just in time, but I did. She was only 2 at the time, and playing Rochelle was like, I was excited about playing a mother, but then I said, you know what? The downside of that, because in show business, once you play a mother, you always play a mother, and it's been exactly that. I've always played a mother, and. But I've gotten great roles because of it. So, it worked out. Thank God,
What I love about Rochelle is, Rochelle was a very strict mother. Like, she ain't played.
At all.
Like, but it reminds us, especially in the Black household, of, like what we see in our moms. I feel like we all see a little bit of Rochelle in our mothers.
And that's who it was. Because, Rochelle, because I was a new mother, I didn't know much about being a mom. So it was my mom, my grandmother, and my aunt.
Oh, okay.
That's who Rochelle was.
So is that how you were able to embrace her and play her so well?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely. And even to this day, I still play all 3 of them anyway. Like, I just did a scene the other day, and I did it just like my mom would do. Because I was like, what would I do? Like, how would I react to this situation? I'm like, oh, yeah, my mom would react. So I'll do how my mom would react, or how my aunt would react, or how my grandmother would react to certain situations.
And the chemistry, might I add, was simply the best between you and Terry Crews.
Oh, man, I love working with Terry.
Tyler James.
It's a great show.
Tyler James Williams, along with the rest of the cast. Was that organic, or did that
Imani
chemistry? Imani Hakeem. And is it
Taquan?
I remember him from General Hospital. He was on for.
Oh yeah. Those were my first babies.
And I think is it Imani?
Imani
Hakeem. She just got engaged.
Yes,
she did. Yeah.
Yes.
So congratulations. We want to say
much,
that.
Yes.
The chemistry, was it organic, or did that develop over time?
Oh no, it was. They were children, so they were such good actors that literally Terry and I didn't have a lot of work to do at all in terms of just. And Tyler, he was very prepared, knew all his lines. Like we had a great situation on that show.
Okay,
great
so he came in ready to work.
Oh, he was ready.
Okay.
And look where his career is now.
Look at where he is.
See what
today.
happens when you're ready as an actor.
And when you work
Always
hard,
be prepared. Always be prepared.
And believe in yourself.
Most definitely.
Yeah, because Everybody Hates Chris is centered around Chris Rock's. This is his story. This is his life. Did he have a hand in casting you for the role of Rochelle?
It freaked me out. I went on my first audition, and he was in the room, and I was like, Chris, what are you doing? He's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, oh my God, very excited. So that's when I got actually even more excited about the role, when I saw that. Here we got this huge comedian, this big, celebrity who has his own show. Oh, he's invested in it. He really wants it to happen. He's here at the audition process. So I was very excited about that. And that's what made me want the role even more, because I knew he was so invested in it, because he was very very meticulous when it came to the casting of it, because Chris Rock, as he said in his interviews, he loved his dad so much. So the loss of his father really affected him. So he wanted to, pay credence to his father, which was why, Terry was hired to play his father, because you didn't see, a lot of big black, dark-skinned, bald-headed men on TV. You didn't see a lot of Terry. So, and for him to, Terry, who was an amazing guy, an amazing father himself, he was perfect for the role. So it's just like we synergy. It's just one of those things that God allowed to happen, and it happened, and it's still happening. People still love the show to this day, which is great.
And I love how the show is just a representation of, our people. And it shows that a mom and dad can exist in the same home, and there's structure, there's guidance, there's respect. So I just want to say we appreciate you all for giving us that on television.
It was my honor.
Yeah, we appreciate
my
it.
honor, and Terry's honor. I can speak for him. Yeah,
the chemistry between you two
honor.
was
Most
amazing. But you and Tisha Campbell reunited again as Rochelle and Peaches. I feel like you and Tisha, you have a friendship.
I can't get rid of the bitch.
Your friendship is truly the testament. It's still the test of time, and is the definition of what friendship is.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you what is it about your friendship that you feel has been, I guess, the reason why, you and Tisha have been friends for at this point over 4 decades, I'm assuming. Why?
Because you get through the hard times. You have every relationship, you have ups and downs. How you have do you have a best friend?
I do.
That person is your best friend because you got through a lot. You got through moments. You got through hard times. You got through good times. When you have a journey with someone, you learn along the way. Sometimes, and I tell people all the time, everybody you meet is not meant to be in your life forever.
I agree.
You don't have the
1000%.
same friends you had when you were in kindergarten.
I don't. Absolutely not.
You know what I'm saying? People sometimes are passing through your lives, but there are people that will be in your life forever. So when you realize those people that will be in your life forever, you figure it out.
Okay.
And Tisha just so happens to be one of those people. We went through a rough patch. And then, you get older. So as you grow, you get your own families. You get your own, you know what I mean? You move to other places. So the friendship can be strained at times, But she was married before I was married. She had children before I had kids, my child. So, there are certain things that the friendship can not be the exact same as it used to be because now you're starting a life with somebody else. So when a person understands that, then they know their place. I am very malleable when it comes to my friendships. I always find my place, and wherever they need me to be, that's where I'll be. I'm okay with that.
It's good to have that mindset because we all saw Tisha go through a public divorce. And I just want to say I admire.
That was hard. That was
But you were there.
Very hard.
And
how could I not be?
I admire that about you. And again, we don't know what's truly happening behind the scenes, but we see publicly, you always see a lot of people that's with you publicly and then they're not with you.
Yeah.
And then you read between the lines. I mean, you don't have a choice to, but you were someone that was, very present in her life during that time. And I just want to say, it just really, again, goes down to loyalty and the definition of what a friend is. So I just want to say I really admire you for that. It says a lot about you.
Oh, thank you for noticing. But but that's what a friend does. That, and I'm a type of person. I'm very as sociable as I am. I'm extremely private. I'm a Cancer. So
Okay.
I understand. I go in my shell. Literally, I could be in my house for weeks and never come out. I go from one extreme to the next.
I would have never gotten that from you.
Yeah. But that's how I am with my friendships. I'm friends with quite a few people, and you may not even know that I'm their friend. But, because to me, a friendship is what you want it to be. And when you decide that you have a friendship with someone, that friendship is on certain terms. And just, the terms of the friendship, and you keep those terms.
And it's a give and take relationship.
Most definitely.
It's like if it's not being reciprocated, then sometimes you do got to look at the friendship because we all want to pour into cups, but we also would like for people to pour into ours at some point too.
Most definitely.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
At this point in your life, because of the level of success that you have and where you are in life, are you hesitant about making new friends?
I'm not looking to make new friends.
Okay.
I'm 55. I got the friends I got. You know what I mean? But I did make a new friend. I do have a new friend. And we have a lot of fun together. You know what I mean? So it's there's room for any and everybody. But the older you get, it's like you have the friends that you have. And then I was like, I ain't trying to make new friends. I ain't trying to be out there like that because you don't go out as much. You're not meeting people like that anyway. So it's you're okay with not making new friends. But, to me, that the friendship thing, it takes time to build. So that's why when you're older, it's like, okay, I have a friend now, I have less time to grow with them because I'm at an older stage in life. But you can still make friends.
Okay.
You can still make friends.
I've heard so many stories in Hollywood, like when certain people reach, a certain level of success, that they're afraid of, or they're very guarded in terms of making new friends, because sometimes you can't tell who's genuine and who's phony.
Obviously, but within life, that comes wisdom. So I could walk into a room, I could smell who's phony and who's not.
Okay.
I'm really good at that.
I mean, because you're very real, which is rare in this industry.
Yeah. And then, but even when that a lot of people who are not who they say they are, and guess what? That's where I keep them.
That's fair.
I'm going to accept whoever you present to me.
Okay.
Now it's up to me whether or not I allow you
into your personal space.
There you go.
Okay. I like that. I got to give you a high five for that one.
See how that works?
Everybody Still Hates Chris has returned as an animated series.
Yes. Terry and I are so excited about it.
I'm overjoyed.
We were trying to do this animation for a minute. We're very excited about it because Everybody Hates Chris was a show that I knew when we got canceled. We didn't want to be canceled. We had at least 2 more good seasons.
I'm still wallowing, and I'm still mad about that because it was a really good show.
Yeah.
And I understand there was a transition from one network to another one.
We made it through those transitions.
You did,
yeah.
Absolutely.
But then, the industry changes. So, you got to roll with the punches. But I knew that Everybody Hates Chris was going to be loved, but we were going to be gone. And by the time people got, but by the time people became, attached to the show and start liking the show, we would be gone. And I knew it. So when we hit syndication, I knew people would want more. But so now we have a chance at it again through the animation.
Were you surprised when the original was canceled, or did you?
I wasn't surprised because I saw it coming. I saw it. I told the kids, I said, save your money. There's a chance that we're not coming back. Because I just saw the temperature of the television industry change. So I've watched a lot of things go from one thing to the next. And so when you're in the business of show, but for so long, you're able to see the writing on the wall before it's actually written. Oh. And I saw there was a big change coming because, I started seeing a lot of white teenager shows. So I knew that, they were changing the programming on the network. And so I told the kids, I don't know if we're going to make it, start banking your money a little more. And we didn't. Oh. And you never want to be the bearer of bad news. Because you never want to say never either. But, I kind of saw it coming.
But you were being realistic about
you have to
the
be
circumstances.
Most definitely.
You played Lena.
The Lena Baker.
The amazing Lena Baker. I felt like your performance in that was breathtaking. It was raw.
Thank you.
It was gritty.
Thank you.
It was very honest. And I felt like it was a Tichina that we hadn't seen.
That's why I was very happy to do that role.
How important was it for you to play such a historic person?
It was a departure from the comedy world. It was allowed me to have a moment in my career to play, first of all, a woman who just, oh my God, went through a horrible, Lena Baker basically was the first black woman to be executed in the state of Georgia.
1945.
And posthumously, they released her from that, from her being jailed. The families are still there. I'm trying to gather my thoughts about it.
Oh, take your time.
The families are still there in that town. And I wanted to do this woman some justice, who I had never met, obviously. This all took place in the 50s. But it allowed me to tell a real story about a real black woman. And I wanted to do the role justice. And on top of, it was a departure from me doing the whole comedy thing. Like I said, it allowed me to not be stigmatized as only doing comedy.
Okay.
And that, that role afforded me to do that.
How did that role affect you both mentally and emotionally?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Okay, so this is what I tell actors all the time. A lot of people like to do method acting. A lot of people, try. What I would do is, every time I finished on that set, I would leave Lena on the set. And I would go home. And now I had to practice how they would talk in the 50s, how they would, move around in the 50s, how they would, what was their vernacular. So at home, I would kind of, in my hotel, my bed and breakfast that I was in, I would, practice on how would she walk, because there was no footage of her. There was just a few pictures, but other than what her family, told me how she was, I didn't know much about her, so I had to create her. So kind of create who I thought she would have been with her, but not seeing any video footage of her, and just kind of reading it from a book and reading, listening to what people who didn't know her back then.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I feel like you should have won. Like it was an Oscar worthy performance.
You.
I'm just being honest.
And award stuff, I like. To me, guess what my award is? What you just said. I don't need to hold something in my hand. You enjoying it, that's my award.
Because you've done your job.
I've done my job.
Have you faced racism in your career?
Not a whole lot. Believe it or not, show business, I didn't face a whole lot of racism. Like I said, I've lived a very insulated life. So show business, people in show business, yes, there's racism. But it's a different kind of racism. And I say this, if somebody's racist, they're racist behind your back. They're not in your face with it.
Yeah, that
and
part.
Eventually, if they are racist, they'll show themselves, and you just,
just don't deal with them. That's how you handle it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But show business, you have a lot of different, it's very multicultural. So, I was a part of a lot of multicultural casts and theater groups. So a lot of people from show business, most of them, because I'm sure there are a lot of racists, but who isn't in this world? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's in every profession. I don't give a shit if you're racist, but you will respect me. You do what you do.
As you should, Yeah.
You are who you are. But, be that over there.
Because like you said, it's not our job to change people.
Yeah.
Only you can change yourself.
Yeah.
Want to talk to you about the We Win Foundation. You're very active in the community with your sister, Zanae, who I just want to give a personal shout out for, because Zanae, she was very instrumental in helping me be here to sit and talk with you.
Yeah.
So I just want to say,
happen,
she makes it happen. She, like, Zanae, you're an amazing person, and I'm kind of
is.
sad that she's not physically here today, but like
she's been mommy. She's been mommy all weekend. She has been mommy.
She and I bonded when me and you first interviewed a few years ago. She talked to me about her journey with lupus, and I told her that my mom has lupus, and we kind of bonded a little bit over that. And we had just the whole conversation about that, and I want to ask you, what has that journey been like for you? Because we talk to the people that are going through that journey, but I assume that on some level you've been a caretaker. There have been people that around her that have been caretakers. What has it been like for you?
It's very humbling, to see my sister like literally overcome so many obstacles within one day. You wake up, you don't know how your body is going to be. So watching my sister on her journey humbled me as her sister, because it's like, it made me even be harder on myself. Every time I think about complaining, I think about her. And what she goes through and the tenacity that she has just to wake up in the morning and brush her teeth. If she has a flare-up, like, it used to incapacitate her. But she has her tenacity and her strive and her drive to be healthier and to take care of herself is literally every minute of the day. That's what she's working on outside of being a mother. outside of being a wife, you know, and a sister. Like, she has done an amazing job at being told that she would never live past the age of 30, and here she is.
And that's why we say God
in her
is
50s.
in her 50s.
It's you know, the things that you feel like you're not in control of, you really can be in control of. You know, if you know that you have a health issue, then do your best to take care of it and not make it worse. So to watch her not only help, you know, bring herself through this health issue, but to help others at the same time while doing it. I've seen my sister in the bed, could barely talk, but she's talking and helping somebody else that's having a flare up. So she's an amazing and extremely strong individual, and she just taught me how to not complain. I don't complain.
She does it with so much grace, may I add. I want to know, the We Win Foundation, can you talk to us about, you know, what the goal of the foundation is? Like, how can people get involved?
We want people to live and thrive with their autoimmune diseases. Like, when you have an autoimmune disease, it's just not just one thing. It's just it's a whole plethora of issues that you have, that your body has. Like, you know, there's surgeons, there's disconnected tissue, there's rheumatoid arthritis, there's, you know, they have kidney issues. Like, it's everything. It's just a long list of problems that people who have autoimmune disease. And you wake up and it's something different every day. And as life goes on, it gets worse. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't get better. You have to, and there's no cure for it. So we're teaching, the We Win Foundation is we're doing our part to teach people how to live while they have the time. Teach them how to live. So you have a lot of people that, you know, are not eating right. Like, everything you put into your body, are you getting sustenance from it? Is it feeding your body, or is it hurting? So it's like we're learning as we go, and as we learn, we share that information. Like I told you earlier, information should be shared. Information, you know, and unfortunately, we're living in a day and time where information is not as shared. You know, you got to pay for it. You got to pay for the good information in order to be able to live, unfortunately. But good information should be free. So the We Win Foundation is doing everything that we can to help people help themselves.
And can you tell everyone where they can, you know, if they want to support or get involved in the We Win Foundation?
WeWinFoundation.org, right? Yeah. It's not the word. It's We Win. Yeah, WeWinFoundation.org.
Okay. Last time you had to help me get my. I think it was my the L. I don't know if I'm doing it right, but
you're doing it right.
I'm doing it right. Okay. Because last time you had to get me together, I was like, no, you're not. I think I had to like this.
I was like going crazy about that. Like, oh, it's okay. How you do it is how you do it. Yeah. It's okay.
But I pray, you know, there is hope, and I pray that we do find a cure for it, because you know there are so many people that are suffering from lupus and autoimmune diseases.
It's awful.
And you know, you feel bad when you look at them, because sometimes you look at people and you go like, why them? You know, not that you want it to happen to anyone, but you just look and you go, I wish it was more that I could do.
Right.
Like sometimes we look at our loved ones and go, I wish that I could, you know, deal with that pain to take it away from them.
Yeah.
So it's.
I've had many of those days. It was like, God, just like, can I take some of her pain? It's like, and it's very humbling. That's why I said it's very humbling, because, you know, you seeing somebody just suffer. Like my sister, there was moments that she just wanted to cut her hands off. And there was a moment where she literally gave up. And then that's how she got the name We Win. And she kept, my grandmother used to tell Zanae, you know, we win, baby, we win, you know, she told her. And so that was my sister's mantra. We win, we win, we win. And she, you know, Zanae said one moment she just literally, she was in so much pain that she was just asking God just to take her. She just wanted to die. And my mom started praying for her. She was like, no, you can't give up. You can't give up. And then once Zanae got past that rock bottom point, there was no turning back for her then. And that's how she started the We Win Foundation.
Me knowing her, I would have never thought that. Because she's very strong.
You would never think she would.
She's very resilient. You know, like she... And I think for me, like, that's what I admire, that she gets up and she just keeps going. And, you know, she's very...
And you got to know when to sit down, too. See, it's a two-way street. What did I say about the other side?
The other side, you got it. Yeah.
You got to know when to sat your ass down and chill.
Do you tell her sometimes,
All
like,
the time.
all right, you were okay? Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the
Okay,
time.
because she works hard, so you know,
Yeah.
just let her know it's okay to, you know, to take that moment to decompress.
Because something that it mentally is helping you, like being busy, staying busy, you know, that's helping her mentally. But I ask her, is it physically helping you right now? You know, no. Sit your ass down, regroup, take your 5 minutes, and start all over again. It's gonna be okay.
Okay.
Things are still moving. You ain't missed shit.
Okay. Well, hopefully she will listen to her big sister. We
Oh, she listens to me. She ain't got no other choice.
I know you love to travel.
I love traveling.
Where is your favorite place to travel, and why is it important to travel?
St. Martin is my favorite place to travel to. I love that island. It's just, I love that island so much. I love the people. I love the sun. I love the aesthetics of it. I just love the energy. I love St. Martin. And I think it's important to travel, to get outside of your environment. You know, if you get outside of your environment, sometimes you get outside of yourself, get outside of your own head. It allows you to have a respect, and it gives yourself a chance to learn other things. You know, traveling to me, you know, you learn a lot. You know, you learn about other cultures. You learn about other people's lifestyles. You learn how other people live, eat. You know, I love traveling. I think it's very important, especially for young people. You know, for them to see other things outside of their environment.
For me, I love that you said that because my first international trip was a few months ago. I went with my best friend Chris, and I was uncomfortable because I had never been out of the country.
Where was it?
I went to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic,
Okay,
and
nice.
then we transferred from Punta Cana to San Juan. And I don't speak any other language besides English.
That's okay.
But I appreciated the experience of being uncomfortable because I'm walking into rooms, and now I'm forced to learn. Because I'm uncomfortable, I'm forced to understand.
And it piques your interest.
It does pique your interest,
Yeah.
and you have an appreciation for how others live.
Most
And
definitely.
like, you know, because I don't think a lot of people understand living in the States. We're very privileged in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah, you definitely, and when you come back home, you appreciate
what
you
what
got.
you had,
Right?
yeah.
See how that works? Some places
Yeah,
you go,
yeah.
because I've been to like like mansions, you know, just all, but I always love coming back home. You know.
I appreciated it so much. So hearing that from you, I want to travel a lot more. You know, I got some places on my radar. You know, like
You're young. Travel. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your
because
life.
Tomorrow's not promised.
And traveling, it's a lot of stigma on traveling. Like it's really expensive. Like the airlines are just losing their minds in terms of prices. But then learn how when them prices come down, you go.
Book
You
that
know,
ticket, like-
go through it during hurricane season. Take a chance. But there's a way to travel.
It's a
But
way
to
to
me,
do it.
that's also a fun of it as well. Figuring out how to travel. What to travel with, who to travel with, where to go during what times of the year.
Where not to go,
So fun,
yeah.
make fun of it.
It's always possible, and travel because your money is going to return, but your time won't.
No, you get
So
time.
that's what I
you
had
can never
to-
get time
Your
back.
time, you know. So
You never get time back.
some people.
Do you have any children?
I don't, not yet. You know,
Listen,
but yeah,
travel.
travel. Okay.
Travel.
I'm gonna take. I'm
Travel
gonna take it
before
at
you
face-
settle down and before
I
you,
got
you
you,
know,
yeah.
travel.
I'm gonna
Because
do
it's
that.
so much fun. It's just traveling, and you get to meet new friends.
You meet like
too.
you would be surprised at just walking into a room and you just start talking and connecting with people.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like I just appreciate it. And I'd be like, you know, God, how did I connect with
Right.
so and so? And it's very insightful, and you learn so much from those people.
And then whenever you go to a country
Mm-hmm.
that you don't speak the language, it is very scary. Always, you know, thank God we have these little devices.
Translator.
Translate.
Lifesaver.
But try to learn the language.
That's what I was doing there.
Just try, you know, and learn keywords. They will, and you'll find that people will help you.
They will. When I
Yeah.
was in DR, I was like, listen, I don't understand, but I said, you gonna laugh at me for trying to enunciate, but I was like, I'm willing to learn. I want to know.
Yes.
So that when I come back, I'll be more fluent in
And you
Spanish.
look Dominican.
I got that a lot. When
look
when I was over there, they was coming up to me speaking to me in Spanish, and I was
Yeah.
like, no, like I was like, me no Spanish, you know what I'm saying? But it was a great experience, and I appreciate it, and I loved it so much that I was like, I don't want to just keep traveling in the States.
Yeah.
I want to go abroad now.
Travel.
You know
If
what
it's in your spirit, go.
Yeah, it brings you happiness, you know, so I'm gonna do it. I appreciate that. So much is happening in the forefront of Hollywood. Women and equal pay as it pertains to men. Do you feel like the women are getting paid what they should be paid nowadays?
The conversation is being had, which I'm very grateful for. But no, we're not there yet. But eventually, we're getting there.
But so the progress is being made, but we still got a long way to go. Okay, I would say.
And I'm not even gonna say we got a long way to go because the industry is changing a lot.
It is a lot.
Overall, the industry is changing
now we stream.
A lot.
Yeah,
So. I would not say we have a long way to go. We're gonna have some new challenges within the industry soon, But we have made some headway because when you're talking about it and then you start seeing results and you start hearing, oh, okay, people, oh, they're happy with their pay. That means it's happening. Something there's movement happening. And that's what we want. We want movement. We don't want to be just told the same bullshit over and over and over again. No, we want to see change.
We want to see it because so much is happening.
Slowly seeing it.
Slowly. Well, we're going to get there. God willing, one day we'll get there. I don't want to get too political with you. So, what are your thoughts on the election? If you have any. If you don't, it's fine.
Well, I used to be politics used to be my sport.
Okay.
I will admit that. I used to be deep in politics. I would say this. When I disconnected from politics, my life got a lot better. So I have disconnected from politics. But it's good that you pay attention. I still pay attention because politics affects my life. It affects my daughter's life. So, but once I disconnected from politics, I was allowed to see it from the outside looking in. And yeah, I don't like what I see. And so from disconnecting, it allowed me to make better decisions for my family. Okay. But, people, I don't judge people for who they vote for. I don't judge people for who that is all relative. That's, like I said, that's up to you.
Because it's your business.
Whether or not you were for Trump, whether or not for Kamala, you're still my friend. It doesn't matter.
But I wish that we could have those conversations without it being so much hate and just so much.
Well, who is that hate up to? It's up to you.
Up to us, yeah. Because I'm at a place now, Tichina, when I'm talking to people about politics, the same thing you said. I respect where you are. If you want to vote for whomever you want to vote for, that's your choice. Who am I to stop you from doing what you feel is best for your life? But some people, they just want to dive deep and was like, this party. And I'm like, listen. I can only do what I can do.
We got to learn to agree to disagree. And everybody's lives are different. All I tell young people too, when you vote, because I've been voting all my life, when you vote, really think about it. Like I taught my family how to vote. It's like, okay, if you're going to vote, I look up the judges. I look up, it's a
senators,
process. It's not just about presidency. Who is going to be better for your life? That's what matters.
And it starts at the bottom.
Everybody must be vetted. Everybody. And once you vet whoever you like, vote for them or not. But that's totally up to you. That is your God-given right.
It's okay to agree to disagree without being disagreeable.
Right.
So
I forgot the end part.
No, you good. You got it. You got it.
Most definitely.
Monique has spoken out so much about everything that's going on in Hollywood. And I mean, she's made some valid points, and she's proven a lot of points with with her fight and things that she feels that she didn't get and that she should have gotten. Are you surprised when you hear the stories of certain high-profile celebrities that have been caught up in scandals and sexual abuse and these allegations that have taken place? Are you surprised, or
I'm never surprised at anything? Okay. A lot of things happen. Life happens. It's how we deal with it. It's how we deal with it. When it comes to, like I told you, I'm an extremely private person, and I always keep other people's business private as much as I can, because that's just like, if somebody tells you something or shares something with you, they're trusting you to not,
run your mouth
about it. But like I told you, I'll always speak from experience, and my experience is that you don't mix politics or your life choices with like I told you, we make decisions to do things. So even when it comes to contracts, if I sign my name on a dotted line and I don't like what I get later, whose fault is that? See how that works?
Because at the end of the day, nobody forced you to do.
See how that works?
You can always say,
so now,
thank you, but no thank you.
later on. So the next time you have that opportunity, don't allow that to happen. Say, you have to have morals and standards and codes for yourself, whatever that is. You stand by it, you stick by it, and you be okay with whatever result comes from it.
Got it. Okay. You teaching a whole.
It's just common sense.
You giving a whole masterclass on accountability right now,
Gotta
which
be
people need to hear it though.
And I'm not taking away from anybody who speaks about it. Like, listen, we all have our life paths, and if God puts it on your heart to speak about it, then speak about it so other people can learn from your mistakes. So if you're teaching, then and you're helping somebody from your adversities, that's why you went through it, to help somebody else.
There are things that motivate you, but when you're feeling down, like what angers you?
Stupidity. Don't laugh, Tichina. My artist laughing because she knows because some people choose to be stupid. And I don't have patience.
You don't have patience?
No.
Okay.
No.
How do you handle your anger though?
Oh, when I get angry, I get quiet. And then when I'm very angry, if I'm crying, that means I'm super
So if
angry.
I see you crying, I need to just walk in the
Oh, yeah, stay away from me.
go another direction.
Yeah, mostly because I'm trying to control it. Because to me, I'm all about self-control. I don't like drama. I don't like all of that. I just, I like to control myself.
Okay.
I'm very uncomfortable when someone else is out of control.
Okay.
I don't like being around it.
So you just remove yourself completely.
Completely.
Now, are you when you come back and you're in a better space, are you open to having those discussions with whomever made you feel however they made you feel?
Depends. It depends upon who that person is. Because some people don't deserve me to. Because if you did something and you're okay with what you did, okay, then we'll leave it there. And now I know where I stand with you. Like I told you, I'm totally okay with that. When people offend me, more than likely, they won't know it if they're not worth it to me. And most of the time, people, if they offend me, I don't care because, like, it's not, if they don't mean anything to me, they can't offend me. But when somebody that I love offends me, yes, then I will address it. But somebody that I don't know, I don't give a shit.
Okay, I got it. So it's important to have those uncomfortable conversations. Sometimes it's very much needed because sometimes we got to let people know that who are worthy. If you're worthy of my
That's a good
time,
word,
if
yes.
you're worthy, then I got to let you know, like, if you did something that, make me feel just uneasy about, the circumstances or the situation that we were put in.
A lot of times, though, because you got to afford people time. And this is what I do. Like, let's just say somebody says something to offend me. I'm not going to be like, well, you said, like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait and I'm going to watch. Oh, okay, that's why he said that. Because sometimes you're just not all the best. It's not about you. A lot of times people do things and it's not personal. They may be going through something. They may be having a bad day. They may have just gotten off a horrible phone. You just don't know. You got to afford people a chance.
So we got to give people grace.
To get it right. Grace. Beautiful word.
Appreciate
Now,
that.
when someone is a repeated offender, almost definitely, I'll go in.
It's time to...
if that's what it's called for, then I'll address it. Okay. But if I don't address it, that means you're not worth it.
Okay. All right, you teach me a lot today, Tichina. I appreciate that.
And that's just me.
Yeah.
That's just me. We're all different. And that's why I can appreciate our differences. Okay. Completely.
What uplifts you?
Piddling around the house. I love being home and piddle. I love moving furniture around. I love piddling. So it's my happy place.
Okay. When you're feeling down, do you kind of dabble in those things around the house?
Yeah. Okay. When I'm down, I do nothing. I'll do things like whatever I feel at the moment. So if I'm feeling solemn, the first thing I look for is sunlight. I love sunshine. And I love nature, so I'll go outside, get some fresh air,
Go for a walk,
listen to the birds, walk. You know, just do something to disconnect just enough so I can breathe again and I can rejuvenate my energy.
It's something so mesmerizing when you go out and you hear the birds chirping, especially like on the early morning.
I love hearing my owls. I have 2 owls that live in this tree.
Oh, you do? Okay.
And they have been so loud the past few nights. Me and my dogs woke up like, what the hell is going on? But just being in tune to nature.
Okay.
It'll allow you an appreciation for life.
For me, it brings me a sense of peace. Yeah, it's just so peaceful to just escape and get away from certain things, even if it's right outside your door.
Yep.
You know, so
Yeah.
you've been married and you've been divorced.
Twice.
Okay. So I want to ask you, do you still believe in love?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Why wouldn't I?
Okay.
Why wouldn't I? Because, see, love is not just predicated on marriage. There's all kinds of love, right? So I would never not believe in love. That means I wouldn't believe in loving my daughter or loving my family or loving my friends. I will always believe in love, and I will always believe in union. You know, being with someone. Like I don't allow things that happen in my life to judge me making any more decisions. And I'm not saying I would never get married again. Do I see myself getting married again? No.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that.
Okay. What has marriage taught you?
How to really accept someone else. How to really become someone's friend or not.
Oh, hey.
How to share. And, you know, timing.
Timing is everything sometimes. Yeah. I remember when we did our first interview a few years ago, you said, if it's white, then it ain't right. And you was talking about white bread, like white rice. And it really stuck with me because now I make better.
See how it made you remember?
It made me remember. And it's like now when I go places, I'm like, I want to get wheat or multigrain. I don't want to do white bread. Do you have any favorite recipes? Are you more of a cooking type of a person, or do you?
I used to like to cook, and I just told my aunt earlier, I can't cook anymore because I've been ordering since quarantine. I've been ordering all this food. I'm ordering all the time. It's horrible. So what I did since I met you, from the last time I was with you, I did this diet where I didn't eat any sugar at all, and that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole entire life. But I was happy I did it. Right now, I'm just telling people, try not to eat artificial things. Just think about feeding your body. What are you feeding your body? What are you feeding your body? So that's why, like, you remember, if it's white, it ain't right. It means it's chemically processed. So just be mindful of what you feed yourself.
Even in the can, I think, if I remember correctly, you said if it's in the can, then it's not good. So now when I go to the grocery store, I'm getting like frozen. I'm getting fresh or frozen. I stay away from the can. Now I do kind of dabble in with the vegetable beans in the can, the bush. This is good.
Let me tell you what I made the other day. I was so hungry and I wanted to make something quick. I don't like string beans, but I like canned string beans.
Really?
So I took canned string beans, made a gravy, put little pieces, because every now and then I don't like chicken, but like I'll try to get some protein. So I took some organic chicken and some halal, because I buy halal meat, which you should do as well. Everyone should try to get halal.
I don't do beef and pork at all.
Good for you.
I do. I'm still doing chicken and fish, but I don't do beef and pork at all.
Then as long as it's clean, try to find clean meat, and then I like one pot meals.
Okay.
I like stuff that's quick, because that's a lot of times that's why we eat so badly, because we're eating quickly.
And we're always on the go. And we're always working.
Yeah. Okay. You're not going to pick up an apple. You're going to pick up a bag of potato chips.
During the holidays or special events, are you going to try to whip up a good meal?
No, I'm going on the island, and I'm going to be waking up to the sun with somebody feeding me some scrambled eggs. And there's this woman that works at the place that I stay at, and she makes the best scrambled eggs, so I'm looking forward to my scrambled eggs.
Okay, so you want to make sure they cater to you and do a good job.
Yeah, but I wanted to cook. I started cooking the other day. I bought collard greens. I bought yams. They're still sitting in my
take it one step and one day at a time.
Because I do cooking is very therapeutic, but one of these days I'll make a nice bill.
You got to speak it into the universe.
Yeah, I'm speaking it.
So just keep speaking it out.
But after the holidays.
Some think that being famous eliminates your problems. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
like, who said that?
Everybody, like you said earlier, everybody has different opinions. Do you love fame? Do you hate it, or are you indifferent to it?
What is fame? This is what. Okay, let me explain this. Unfortunately, human nature. A lot of us have an addiction to notoriety. You got the TikTok, you got social media now. Everybody wants to be seen, and that's cool. Well, what are you getting from it? Like, are you teaching, or you just, what are you doing with it? I think show business and the bad side of the show business. There are certain people that have capitalized on that natural yearning for people to be seen and heard. And they've bastardized it. They've taken it and just twisted it all different kinds of ways. And unfortunately, it's always done through show business. Like I said in the past, I don't give a shit about being a star. Stars fall. I want to do good work. So that's why I always tell people, ask yourself, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to be on television? Why do I want to be on stage? Why do I want to perform? What is like, if you know the reasons why you're doing something, you're better off, when you're doing it, because you have a goal, you have something set for yourself. You know why you're doing what you're doing. A lot of times people see fame and they don't even know what fame is and what comes with it.
I tell people, you wanna become successful, and stop saying you want to be famous. Because I've had people say to me, "I want to be famous," and my response is, "But why? Like, why do you want to be famous?" And they never can give me a real answer. They're just like, it's fun. And I say, like, I'm not as seasoned as you, Tichina, but I say to people, it's not what you think. I said, I can promise you, it's not what you think. Once you get a little bit of it, you value your privacy.
Yeah.
You value your peace.
And you got to learn how to balance it, Like I told you, if I'm not in a good mood, I don't go in the public eye, because I also belong to the public as well, because I'm in an industry where, if you see me, you recognize me, you're going to either approach me or you're not. Like, you may be the 50th person I met that day, but it's your first time meeting me. So, like I always say, be honest with yourself, be honest with other people. But fame is what?
Has fame... Have you ever been in friendships where fame has ruined or interrupted that friendship?
Yeah, I had to cut a few people off because of fame, but that was earlier in life, because a lot of times, people are trying to be your friend for different reasons, and so once you realize that, it's like, okay, no, we've come to the end of our road here, and that's okay.
It's okay.
But I've never allowed fame to predict anything in my life, because it's beyond the fame. Oh, I love when I get my little hummingbirds.
I see it, yeah.
I love my hummingbirds. I've never allowed it to predict or, what is that called, when you determine how my life will be or how I live my life. It's just fame comes with whatever it is that I'm doing.
How has fame affected how you view other famous people?
Oh my gosh, I'm very mindful of it. I'm very mindful. Because I'm still starstruck about a lot of, like, if I met Anthony Hopkins, I would just fucking fall out and die. And I've been dying to meet a lot of people that are just like, oh my God, like, what would I do? Would I meet them? But, it's and it's a good thing. It's just, it's a good thing. With fame is great when it puts a smile on us. To me, that's the good side of fame. It's like me being famous. If it puts a smile on your face, that means I did my job right. So it's like, that's the good side of fame. But just being famous and being seen, are you really ready for that? Like, because there's a lot that
It's a lot that comes with it.
responsibility
And
that comes with it.
Some people don't get it. I would just say my response to people would be just enjoy the moment, but just work hard, you know, like, and don't clout chase, because we've seen a lot of that.
But they're just some people are just clout chasers.
Some
That's what
people
they
just-
do.
I think being in this industry, you learn from experience a lot. At least for me. Like, I've seen, you know, how people move and how I need to move moving forward. And I think that's what you have to do in a lot of ways. Because if you don't, you'll get sucked up. You'll get sucked in.
It's just good to be kind, you know?
Always
Because
be
a lot of times, like, I've been kind to a few people and the kindness isn't returned. And guess what? You just, okay, I don't deal with that person anymore.
But you know, that
not
also,
reciprocated.
it also goes back to your character and who you are, though. Remember, we can't allow people to change who we are. You just sometimes got to change who you are according to how you deal with, according to the people that you deal with. So if you're not worthy of certain things from me, you're not going to see that part of me.
Right, you
to
give
the
them
fullest
what you want to give
Yeah.
them.
So, is there anyone in particular that you haven't worked with that you want to work with?
Like Anthony Hopkins. Because, you know, I love the body of work that he's done. I never really think about that. Like, and the only reason why I'd say Anthony, because it's just, it's like so like far beyond me that ever happening. No, because, you know, I don't think about that because God has blessed me to work with so many great people. And like I said, along the way, as life happens, you know, I'll be afforded other opportunities to work with, you know, whomever. But I don't sit around thinking, oh, I would love to work with this one or that one. I don't really think about stuff like that.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay. That's
I
a good
really
answer.
don't, you know what I mean?
I accept that. Now, we talked about earlier that you can sing. Like, you have a beautiful, very soulful voice.
Thank you.
I'm disappointed that there's no out. You said you don't have a response to an album coming out, but would you at least consider it?
Well, I have music.
You have music, yeah,
I
you
have
do.
music.
You have music, yeah.
But now my daughter is like, she wants to sing, so I'm giving that her that energy. But I still do live performances.
Because I see the setup.
I still sing,
yeah.
but just not in the capacity that people would expect. Because just because you sing doesn't mean that you want a record album. I mean, you know, a recording contract.
I get it.
Just because you sing, that, like, to me, singing is the whole live. Like, you know, doing live concerts, you know, singing in, you know, clubs, you know, that just the live version of singing to me is the stage and the performance. To me, that's where my joy is, not so much in the studio.
Because you have a beautiful voice, and I've always hoped that, you know, like, can we get a tour? And I know you did do a tour in 2023.
Yeah,
you was in New York.
New York.
I came to your concert. You and Beth
We had
sounded
so
amazing.
much fun. Thank you for coming too.
Oh,
Appreciate your
of course.
support.
I was just like, you know, I wanted to come out, and I'm close to New York, so, you know, I was like, want to come
Nice.
out and be supportive. But listen, I think you should sleep on it and really consider, you know.
I'm
just
working
playing-
on some stuff, but you know, I keep saying I'm working on it. I'm doing. People are tired of that. They're like, yeah, right, whatever.
Well, listen, I'm gonna put it out there. Like, I'm a musician. If you ever need help writing,
do you
listen.
play?
Actually, excuse me, I'm a writer. So I
Okay.
used to rap. So I used.
Oh, nice. You're a poet. You're a
yeah,
poet.
I'm a poet, and I enjoy it, and I like to talk about things that are true to life. So
Nice.
if you ever need a writer or somebody to just help you along the way, like,
I will definitely keep.
I'm definitely
that in
open
mind.
to it. You
And
know.
you gotta maybe hook up with my daughter. She's dope.
Oh yeah, yeah.
think
Like,
it
I
was
definitely, I
crazy.
love it. You know, like.
Crazy, but I'll let you know the next time I'm doing something. But I do keep music in my life. I'm around musicians all the time. Music makes the world go around. It's a universal language. Like, and you'll find that once you travel a little more too.
Yeah.
Once you start traveling more, you'll hear you'll digest all these different sounds, and you know it'll help your rapping and your writing. It'll help it a lot. You know, just being exposed to other cultures. But you know, we'll see.
We'll see.
with the music
We'll put it
stuff.
out there in the universe. What is a skill that you have that people don't know about?
I'm really good. I used to make paper doll houses. I'm really good with my and I know how to do nails. Don't look at these now.
Okay.
But I like meticulous things. Like I like working with my hands. I like I had a company called China Moon Rags, so I used to sit there and put studs on bandanas and
so you
stones
sew
on
and stuff
bandanas.
like that.
Not a sewer, but more so just putting the stones like there's like little machines that do it, but I would all do it by hand. So I do everything by hand. Which that's one of the reasons why I cut all my nails down, because I'm going to start
Because you want to really
doing some things again.
Okay.
I love being creative. I love miniatures. I used to make these frames and little miniature, put little miniature things on the frames and make different themes.
Is there anything in particular that you want to create?
No. I can't think like that. I can't think because it's when if I'm doing it, then it comes But I just no, it's nothing in particular. Like now that I'm in, because I'm older now, for me the joy is just chilling. I love chilling. I love people watching. I love going out to eat. But I don't even do that a lot anymore because I've been ordering in. So it's
go sometimes,
I know. I gotta
you gotta get out the house a little bit. It's so fun to I find going out. I just went and celebrated a friend's birthday back home, and we went out, and it's fun to just laugh at the table. And sometimes you crack jokes. I would say go for it, do it.
I got you. You know what? I'm burnt out. I used to do it so much to where now, because there was a moment I was never home. And now that I'm older, I love being home. And I remember some older people telling me back then, it was like, oh, you're going to love, when you start slowing down, you're going to love being home. And guess what? I love being home. So it's just, as time goes, I've lived and I've lived and I'm still living a great life. And I just like being content. I don't have a lot of wishes, or I wish I wanted to. I've done so much to where if I die tomorrow, I'm good. I've lived a great life.
Very humble.
Very
humble
happy.
And happy, yeah, that part.
And I want to make other people happy, So happiness is very contagious. So
it should be, as it should be. When you're around people, I feel like our goal should be, as we stated earlier, to always uplift others. And I want to say to people, don't put people down because of what they don't know. Because I've been in situations where people would say, a person doesn't know this, they should know this. And I'm like, well, instead of us belittling someone, let's teach them.
Well, because it's what we talked about before. It's not so much stupid, but it's willfully ignorant. You have a lot of people that are just willfully ignorant. They're asking you something, but they don't really want to know. That's willful ignorance.
That part,
you know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. That makes me angry. It's like, I don't want to waste anybody's time. Don't waste mine. Yeah.
And
if you really want to learn, I'm going to give you everything that I can give you to learn and to, and I'm still learning. You learn to the day you die.
Absolutely. Every day that we're given is a new chapter. I feel like you should want to learn something new every day, because it's somebody who didn't wake up today. Yeah. Somebody who wasn't given that privilege.
Yep.
So you got to make the most of what you have.
Definitely makes the most of it.
What is it about you that people don't know? Just anything that people would be like, wow, because we know you sing, we know that you're an actor. Is there anything that people will go, wow, I wouldn't expect it?
I don't know, because I don't pay, Tita, is there anything, what do people don't know? I don't know. I'm an automobile enthusiast. Oh, yeah. I love automobiles.
What's your favorite car?
Right now, my favorite car is the Cullinan, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Favorite car in the world to me. Right now. Okay. Yeah. I've always been I used to ride motorcycles. I was a daredevil.
I didn't know that. Don't know. No, I didn't know you was into motorcycles. So that's one for me that
I used to. I love any motor vehicles. I love.
Would you get a motorcycle today, or do you have one?
I have one, but I sold my crotch rocket. I used to have a Triumph T595. I sold it a long time ago, and now I just have a Can-Am. I got a trike. They call it a trike.
Okay, so every now and then I might catch you.
Cruiser.
I might catch you on the road here and there.
Maybe. When I ride, you can't even tell I'm a woman because I leather.
Oh, you got the whole.
Oh yeah, I wear the whole gear.
Everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
I'm a safe rider.
Okay, you're supposed to be. Now that we're here at the neighborhood in current day, what is the major difference from working with Cedric the Entertainer versus working with Martin Lawrence?
they're two completely different comedians, men, fathers, like two completely different black men. And I enjoy working with Cedric as well. Like working with Cedric, he's just a really good person. You know, he's a great father, great husband. He's a great guy, and I love the way he treats people. I love his work ethics. So, you know, working with him has been such a joy, and I think it's pure testament as to why we've been on for 7 seasons.
I love you as Tina Butler, and what I love about The Neighborhood the most is it shows like that no matter where you're from or who you are, you can still come together and we can all get along. I just love how both families in The Neighborhood, how they like interact with each other. So what do you enjoy most about being on that show?
Well, I enjoyed that it does bridge gaps. Like our show shows that, you know, we can get along. We have we have the ability to get along. And even if you don't like, most of the time when we don't like something, it's because we don't know about it. So, like on our show, we bridge that gap. Like even with Beth and I relationship, it's like I get so many white women that approach me like, "Oh my God, I love your relationship with Beth." Like it's refreshing to see because we don't see it often. But there are a lot of interracial relationships out there that people don't talk about, and you don't see it on television. And so I think. I love the fact that The Neighborhood literally bridges gaps in between two cultures, and it allows us to see ourselves in a good light, and us handle adversity and situations. We're able to get through it. And,
I love it.
Like that's what counts. Get through it.
Get through it. That's
Learn from it.
Good point. But we can't talk about The Neighborhood without talking about the exciting news that I saw, and I want you to share on The Neighborhood. Like,
cause what you talking about?
Because you added something else, you know, onto your resume, and I'm really proud of you. I'm excited. So can you tell people, you know, like what we can expect from The Neighborhood, like what you're going to be doing in The Neighborhood?
Well, I made my directorial debut for a multi-camera on The Neighborhood.
Can we?
I'll be doing episode 712, which will be the 12th episode. I don't know when they'll air it though, so don't you know. But I just directed a few weeks ago, so very excited. You know, it's my first time, so I'm actually on record as being the first black woman actress who directed themselves and the show on a multi-camera on CBS.
Can I give you a high five for that? Yay! Like I'm really happy for you.
And my sister's very happy. This has been something she's been wanting me to do for. And you know, it's weird. I get other actors that tell me, you should direct. Like, I've been told this for quite some time now. And I'm happy that my sister forced me to do it. She was like, you got to do it this year. So she did all the legwork. She was like, you got to do this, you got to do that. So, because it is a process. You don't just wake up inside to direct. No, you have to. So I took the class, and you know, you got to get in order to get into the DGA. Yeah, no, it's a process. It's definitely a process. But you know, I have been inspired by a lot of great directors that I've been around. That because you know, as an actress, I love being directed, and especially when you get a great director who knows how to direct, you know, that's just like cookies in the cookie jar, you know.
Who are some of your favorite directors that have directed you?
Oh gosh. I loved Ali Leroy. I love the way he directs me. I love I don't know if you know this director. You may not know them. I loved Frank Oz. I'm just trying to think of names that you would know. Frank Oz in Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah,
Little Shop of Horrors. Who he himself was an actor as well. But yeah, I've been directed by quite a few people that you know I shadowed them, just kind of watched them. But now my headspace is more so in directing. Before I didn't want to do it because I didn't think I was ready. I kept saying, no, I'm not ready. But my sister kind of pushed me. And she was like, come on, you got to get it done. And it felt good. It felt really, really well. I mean, really good. And I'm excited. So now that I've, you know, popped my cherry in the sense of, you know, directing. Because I did direct a single camera movie, short film that I was not in, that I just directed, which was great for me to experience. So That was my first directorial debut, but now, directing in multicam because there's not a lot of black female directors, so I just want to be in the list of one of the
And you're the
greats.
first, as you said, right?
For multicam.
For multicam?
That's acting as well.
Okay.
So I was in the show, acting in the show, directing the show on CBS in a multicam. First one to do it.
Okay, y'all. So y'all heard it here first. That's a milestone, by the way. Y'all heard it here
crazy.
first. She's the
We didn't
first.
realize that.
She's the first. I'm so happy for you.
So hopefully there'll be more, directorial opportunities as life moves on.
Okay. Are you planning to direct more episodes?
Yes,
of
I
the
am.
network?
Well, yes. That's not this season, but hopefully next
next
season,
season.
if we get picked up. Yeah.
Picked up. Okay. So speak it into existence. You know, I keep saying
Speak it.
Speak it.
Yeah, no ifs, I like to say when, but I'm
When.
also a realist. It's
Realistic.
like,
I got you.
know how this business is, but we're definitely blessed to have been on 7 seasons.
Because some shows,
run.
they don't. Sometimes you don't make it past the pilot.
We have survived. Yes.
So, what is the biggest challenge being an actress in front of the camera versus being a director behind the camera?
You being a director, you have to be able to deal with people. As an actor, you don't have to deal with people if you don't want to, but you have to deal with the cameraman, the grips. You have to deal with everybody, and you gotta make sure that you are on top of your game. Or you got your shots. Like, you gotta make sure it's almost more of a personality thing, because if you don't know how to deal with people, you're not gonna direct much.
Okay.
So
you got to be a people's person.
You got to be able to because everybody's coming to you. What should we do about this? What should we? So you have to be able to multitask as well. But the top thing is just being able to deal with people.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that's helped you, that you've done to prepare for your directorial debut?
Well, I took the class that the DGA requires. I shadow a lot. So whenever I wasn't acting, I would be watching all the directors that came on our show, and I would just shadow them and see, because directing, there's a standard to it, like there's a format, but then within that format, you could be a little creative and do things the way you want to do them. It's hard to describe, but there's room for you to be very creative, but then it's under certain parameters. But I'm definitely, I really felt good about it, and everybody, and I had a lot of help. Everybody on our show just helped me out. They were so happy that I was directing.
Yeah, I was happy when I saw it on Instagram.
So
I was like,
helped me
wow.
out.
I was like, and I felt like it's been a long time coming,
Yeah.
because I feel like you're very structured in like how you do things. So I was actually excited, and I'm excited to see the episode.
Thank you.
Being an actress, how hard was it for you to direct yourself? Because obviously you're the director.
I wanted to hurry up with my scenes. The 2 scenes that I was in, I wanted to hurry up and get through them. So I was like, no, Tichina, slow down. You got to be. So, but I had a lot of help, and it was a great experience. I'm happy that it was a great experience. So I definitely do want to direct more on our show, but I want to go on other shows where I'll be the fish out of water.
Okay, so be completely out of that.
Yeah, I want a different experience, but I was very grateful, very grateful.
Because I know that
to have been afforded that opportunity.
I know that must be challenging to be an actress, and you have to watch yourself, because we're hard on ourselves when we watch ourselves.
Oh yeah,
So
that was the hardest thing for me, learning, watching myself and kind of studying our show. Because when you're in it and you got to take yourself out of it and look at the show as if you're not in it, that was hard to do.
And trust your intuition. That's what you got to do. Well, Tichina, it has been like, I hate that we got to wrap it up.
Man, we've been here for 7 hours. We wrapping this shit up.
I hate that we got to wrap it up, but I honestly, I want to say thank you so much. Really, just thank you for the opportunity, and I want to give you your flowers while you can smell them.
I appreciate
because
that.
oftentimes in life, we speak about people in the past tense, and we say, I wish I could have said this to that person. I wish I could have done this differently. And I just want to say, for me, like, you're an icon, you're a legend. Being a kid, seeing you, for me on the Martin Show, and then everything that came after, I just appreciate your body of work.
Thank you.
And what you brought to Black culture. Because for us, it's a gift, to have seen you in so many different roles, and you're so versatile as an actress. So, I think you should give yourself a pat on the back.
Well, I couldn't have done it without all of you. See, it's a give and take a relationship, and the love that you have and the honor that you have for me, I have for you as well. I appreciate that because that's what allows me to keep going. It allows me to see that I'm doing something right, and that means a lot. So it takes all of us, and what I do, I have to what you do is you have to be responsible. I have to be responsible for what I do, and you're part of this. This journalistic process is very important.
It is. It can.
Very important because you're sharing the news. You're spreading the news. But what news? See how that works?
You see how it works?
Yeah.
What news?
So integrity is very important.
Integrity, authenticity, and I want to say thank you. Just for giving me the opportunity, and I say that because there's so many people that'll say no. There's so many people that'll say not this time, because in our line of work, you're often looked at as you're not big enough. You don't have the numbers. You don't have the people who need to be there. But you're someone who really was like, I'll give you the opportunity. And it means more to me than I could ever express in words.
Because you had a balance, like a lot, and just speaking in defense of people that do say no, because there's a lot of things that I just said no to. I said, as I grow, I'm going to give other people the opportunity to grow as well. Somebody gave me a shot. Somebody gave me, it's reciprocal. You gotta do this sometimes. You gotta do this sometimes. So you gotta help. Because I will always, to the best of my ability, help and make it easier for others. Because somebody did for me. And even when they didn't, that's okay too.
And it is okay.
It's just good karma, But sometimes you gotta, even when doing stuff like benefits and all, you're going to all these different, you can't do it all.
You can't.
You burn out. You know what I mean?
Said,
so you gotta find that balance, but always find a moment to give back. Always find a moment to pull somebody else up or make it easier for somebody else or give them an opportunity. I'm all about giving opportunities.
And what you've done for me, I always say I want to be that and do that for others. Because, I always feel like in life, when you reach a certain level of success, that, you should want to, on some level, pay it forward. So my goal is when people ask me questions, I'm like, you said information. If you have it, what do? We share it. So I tell people, this is how you do it. This is how you go about it. If you don't have the answers, I can teach you what I know. And I feel like that's what it should be about. If you can. I know everybody has a different mindset of how they do things. So
but if you want to make an impact, then that's how you do it.
So you've been that for me. And I just want to say thank you, because I remember meeting you when I got the interview a few years ago. And it was just something about, like the integrity, the character. When I walked into the room, I believe I met Zanae first. And I don't know if you remember this story. It's been so long ago. But you was up against the door. You had a hat on. I'll never forget. You had your hat on. And I didn't know, because I thought you was a lot taller than what you actually.
I know. Everybody say, "Oh, you're so much shorter."
I thought you was a lot taller, and I didn't realize it was you. And it was something about the interaction where you made me feel very important. And I often look back on those times and I go like, wow, here I am. I'm just Antwan. Not saying it like I'm a nobody, but
all important.
We're all important.
We are all important.
Something that you said that has stuck with me till this day. It's nice to be important. But it's important to be nice. You taught that.
That's my
and
motto.
I've never forgotten it.
Nice.
So whenever I'm in any environment, I always say to people, like, you can be anything, but just be nice. Yeah. Just be kind.
Yeah.
So I want to leave people with that,
Nice.
Just be good to people, because I respect and I appreciate your kindness, your grace, your class act.
Oh, thank you.
And that you give people opportunities. And I don't want to keep going on and on, because I know we're in limited time, but I just want to say thank you so much.
I've learned to say you are more than welcome.
I appreciate it so much.
And I've received that.
And if there's anything you want to leave with the audience before we exit, feel free.
No, that's it.
This is
nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
To be nice, yeah. So
be kind to each other.
Yeah, I just want to say
and avoid stupid people.
We're gonna try. We'll try to do that. God. Yeah, and that's a wrap, you guys, with the lively, the lovely, the legendary
Tichina
Arnold. Like I love
Thank
it,
you.
and keep being great.
Just
continue to be great. I want to give you a hug
on
on camera.
Just all good, all good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Much success to you, baby.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And that's a wrap, y'all. We done. Like,
Man, cut.